What's up, everybody? I hope you are doing well. And to Ducci and Bryson, we say happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Indeed.
Happy birthday.
Welcome, everybody. I hope your day is off to a banger start. We are about to get into it. I have deep fears about what the community is going to ask about today, Drew. There are some, oh God, why are you scrolling? Is that live?
It's a fast news day and a slow news day all at the same time.
Oh, good Lord.
Like politics, world affairs,
Yes.
not the most going on. RIP Pope Francis. I want to talk about the Oscars AI thing because I think that's huge. We were talking about media yesterday.
But we've got birthdays.
We got birthdays.
And they don't think that we watch the chat, Drew.
Yeah. I want to shout out Jess Hefe for his son's first birthday.
Let's go.
I remember Lynn's first birthday party. Oh, she had so chubby cheeks. And when we were blowing out the candles, I took the cake and I wiped it over her face. And she was so confused.
That is
awesome.
confusing, admittedly.
It was awesome.
Did you do that? Oh, you haven't gotten married, right? You didn't marry your ex. I never understood people that do the smeary cake thing. I'm like, nope. That's like latent hostility finding its way out. Not a fan.
I seen the video and it was like bad, and somebody was like, I would get a divorce instantly, like at the wedding.
Yeah, you just annul that right then and there. That's bad mojo.
Good morning, everybody else. How was everybody's weekend? Easter weekend? Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, I had a great
Goods
Easter
all
weekend.
around
Anytime that I get to
studio.
spend time with my wife, I'm happy about it. What was that, Eunice?
I said we got goods all around here in the studio.
Indeed.
Everybody's saying good.
Indeed.
You said something interesting on Monday. You were like, when you were this weekend, did you deepen your romance?
Yes.
Which
elicited laughter.
Yeah, was that just a poetic way, like you hung out with your wife, or is it like you strategically?
I really mean, like, did you take the time? Look, obviously,
you
I
said
say
deep in
things,
romance. So
I say things in a
like,
way. There admittedly is something in my brain that triggers like very strange phrasing at times.
Copy. Okay.
So admittedly on that, but I do mean that. Like, are people taking the time to actually connect?
Nice.
So yes, did thou deepen your romance, which then people took as a double entendre. I won't call out any names here in particular, but yes, I think people should take the time to actually consciously do things to deepen the connection with the people that they love. This will not happen by accident, but it is absolutely the most important thing that you can do in your life. And I find that people don't usually do it. Like when I see people out to dinner and they're playing on their phones, like that gets a big yikes from me.
Yeah.
Not sure what people's strategy is there, but it does not strike me as a winning strategy. I will tell you that right now.
Copy that. All right. Jumping into our first topic today. I saw this and it made me laugh. The Oscars mandate voters watch all nominated movies. So just take everything else that's in this argument with a grain of salt, because in 2025, the Oscar voters now have to be actual watch the movies. Like it was just...
Because they have to be told?
Yeah, like why wasn't that a rule before? But
yeah, I mean, to a large extent, award stuff are not PR stunts, but it's a PR game. You have to go out, you have to run a campaign, you have to get people on your side.
Kiss the baby, shake hands.
Yeah, so I mean, but that's true of like all awards. When you realize that there are a lot of behind the scenes shenanigans that are going on back in the day. I mean, magazines are now kind of old school thinking, but magazines, getting to know the editors, doing tit for tat. If you want to show up as, 30 under 30 or sexiest man alive or whatever, like all of that stuff is relational. What are you going to do for me if you want this kind of publicity? They know what that kind of thing is worth. And so if you want to win that award, there's got to be some back and forth. And it's not 100% of the time, but that's a pretty big part of it.
Copy. This is the part of the article I wanted to kind of hone in on, though. The Academy also ruled that the use of generative artificial intelligence tools neither help nor harm the chances of a nomination. However, significantly, AI is used in filmmaking, as in any other industries, has been a much debated topic in Hollywood. In this year's Oscar race, Brady Corbett's The Brutalist was subject to some controversy after its editor said that the AI has been used to enhance the Hungarian dialogue of star Adrian Brody, who ultimately won Best Actor, and Felicity Jones, who was nominated for Best Supporting Actress. So I didn't know that they were already using AI on an Oscar-winning production.
Same.
But this just kind of cleared the way for it. And I know we've been talking heavily about the changing in media and stuff like that.
It was trashed on Twitter, on my algorithm.
Once people found out that AI was used?
Well, they were mad because they were like, it wasn't even that, like, you used AI to enhance it. It wasn't even that good still. Like, you should have given it to a different movie that, like, actually tried or something.
Oh, you should have given the award to a
Yeah.
different movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, going back to what we were just saying about PR stuff, but the reaction to AI is both completely predictable and an absolute, utter catastrophic waste of time. I get the emotional response. Trust me, when I am working on something creatively with AI, it is a combination of, oh my God, I can't believe how much I can do, absolute exhilaration. And what happens if this keeps getting better? Because it will get to the point where I am a meaningless cog in the AI machinery. So I get that, but anything that extends human capabilities is going to be embraced. It just is what it is. And I remember going through this. I was at film school. Toy Story came out, and I was like, I refuse to watch that because I could feel the truth of what was coming, which was that traditional animation was going to die. And lo and behold, traditional animation died, and something better replaces it.
And traditional, you mean like hand-drawn?
Yeah, like I cannot tell you, I grew up absolutely obsessed with being able to translate what's in my mind onto a piece of paper, and I couldn't do it. So when I looked at somebody that could do it, it was awe-inspiring. And when I was 18 or 19, somebody asked me, describe the girl you're going to marry. And I said, she'll either be able to sing or draw. And I married a woman who can draw. It is a talent that I am absolutely gobsmacked by. To this day, my wife draws on most weekends, and walking by her drawings, I'm just like, God, that is so amazing. It's unbelievable. And it has taken her an obscene amount of time to get good at that. And so I look at it and I go, whoa, like humans are capable of extraordinary things. Seeing this piece of art does something to my brain. It is a feedback loop that I enjoy on all sides. But the reality is that it just isn't as, it's not as efficient nor as reusable. It's not quite the right word as 3D. And so I really tried to get Lisa to draw on a tablet, and she just wouldn't go for it. She's like, there's something about the tactile quality that doesn't work. But I'm like, but if you do it digitally, you can like replicate it, make it bigger, make it smaller. She was just like, nope, not what I enjoy. And so I had to learn to let go of that battle. But anyway, all of that stuff, it will fall by the wayside. Just as you do not hand crank a car to start it anymore, you don't ride in a horse and carriage anymore. Like all of these things, they sweep the world. Potatoes. Yeah. Do you guys know the history of potatoes?
No.
Yo, okay. Literally, the whole world was changed by two things. You guys are going to be shocked by this. I'm not joking. Bird shit and potatoes. These are facts. Dude.
What a meal.
Doesn't quite work like that. But soil gets rapidly depleted. Plants need nitrogen. They cannot pull it out of the air. They have to pull it out of the soil. And the most efficient way to get it into the soil is through dung. And it just so happens that there's a particular type of bird shit that lasts. It doesn't go away. So it just stacks and stacks and stacks. So you get these islands that like are uninhabitable. You can't even go on them. The smell of the nitrogen or the ammonia, I guess, is so strong that people can't bear to go near it. But you can hire people, or back in the day, enslave them. Hey, always a good time. And you force them onto the island. You mine this stuff. And there were literal wars, is probably an exaggeration, but people were conquering these islands, taking them away from each other, because once you had that, you could ship it to other countries and allow them to grow better crops. And what they found was, in terms of a complete item that's easy to grow, potatoes were like the jam. If you had potatoes and milk, you were good. Who would have guessed? So like around the world, potatoes start in like some small place. I don't remember if it was South America, but I think it was. Potatoes start in like the Andes. And then they just find their way to everywhere around the world, because they could transport the poo and they could transport the seeds for the potatoes, and we could literally feed more people. And so suddenly nations that had been stagnant from a population standpoint for God knows how long, all of a sudden we get this huge population explosion. Poop and potatoes, man.
Thank you, Pooh.
Poop and potatoes.
Thank you, Pooh
Like,
and
it's
potatoes.
crazy. It's
Unsung
crazy.
heroes of today.
And earthworms. Who would have guessed?
Okay, so bringing back to AI after the fractal about potatoes.
Potatoes were a
you're-
psyop.
I remember.
Interesting.
Thank you. I remember when Elon Musk first talked about cybernetics, like enhanced humans. He was like, we're already enhanced with our cell phones. Like nobody remembers directions anymore. And my dad is the king of go to that place. You're going to see a blue mailbox, make a right. You're going to see the third stop sign. We don't need that anymore. I'm like, just give me the address. I'll Google Maps it. I'll outsource it. Do you think with the adoption of AI, we're going to have people who outsource drawing and outsource creativity, and humans in 100 years, 500 years, whatever the number is, they stop drawing, they stop painting?
What timeline would you like me to answer that on?
In the next 70 years.
Jesus, Drew, we're going to outsource literally everything in 70 years. I don't know that humans in any recognizable form still exist.
Sheesh.
How could they? Okay, I expect this to be emotionally controversial, but I do not expect it to be factually controversial. Stop me on the following when I hit one where you think humans en masse. These are averages. Obviously, there will be what I call the new Puritans who will not do any of this. But if you could look better, do you think people will adopt a technology that allows them to look younger longer?
People are already doing that. So yeah,
okay,
of course,
so that's one.
Yeah.
If I could cure any painful ailment that you have, do you think people will do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
If I could get rid of diseases of aging, do you think people would do it?
Of course.
Okay. If I could make your eyesight a little better as it fails, instead of bringing you back to normal with glasses, what if I'm just like, I can upgrade your sight a little bit?
I can see like,
are people going to do
radiation and all that? Like,
no, you don't even need radiation. Just like a little CRISPR gene editing, and now you're better than normal.
Nice.
Would you do it?
Yes.
Okay, it's non-invasive, nice and easy. Nobody's going to say no to that. If I said, hey, we're doing your IVF treatments, and we want to select the strongest of your viable blastocytes or whatever they are at that point, do you think people would do it?
Yeah.
Already are.
Yeah.
If I said, hey, we can put like a little bit of solution on one of those embryos and it's guaranteed to be 6'4", do you think people would do it?
Of course.
Okay. Like, you tell me where you think the train stops. It's just going to keep going until it's like, well, the Chinese are making their kids a little bit smarter. Don't you want to keep up? And then it's like, well, yeah, but I already have the 3-year-old. Don't worry. We can cybernetically engineer them. We've got this little thing. You put it right behind their ear and it increases their IQ by 15 points.
Jeez.
Ready, go? Yes, please. There will be no point on the train where people go, don't do that. Yeah. You will slowly boil the frog until the humans that are alive become cybernetic in one way or another, or gene edited into oblivion. It just is. Like, these are the things that are embedded in the human mind, and you're never going to be able to get rid of them. When you get like, okay, I am now 49. There is something about your late 40s, at least for me, where I started to see the world differently. I could start to see patterns of like, oh, this is what it was like in the 80s. And you see it start to repeat. You're like, oh, hold on a second. Like, now I'm starting to see the human animal from a meta perspective. Not only others, but myself. So I'm beginning to realize, whoa, like my childhood now seems like something that happened to somebody else. Mm-hmm. It's so far away, it doesn't feel real. It's been so crystallized down to like these few like key moments that have obviously deeply impacted the structures of my brain and the way that I think and blah, blah, blah. But like the tangibleness of it, it just feels super distant. So as you start getting that perspective, you really do start to see, oh, I'm a string of algorithms running in my brain that push me to do XYZ thing. And this becomes very predictable because I've seen it play out so many times in my life. I'm watching it play out in other people's lives. You can look at other people and you're like, I actually know where this goes.
Yeah.
And maybe partly because I'm a CEO and I've had so many employees and I've gotten so many times the text, as I've told you guys before, where an employee will quit. And then 4 or 5 years later, they'll text me and be like, actually, I hated you at first. And then going out into the real world, I realized, oh, actually being pushed like that was super high utility in my language. And so we've had people come back many times. I've received that text many, many times. Mm-hmm. And so you start to see these patterns of what humans are actually like. and humans have no break. They are all gas. Technology is a promise of a better tomorrow, and that is something that we can't stop ourselves from going for.
Nove.47 had a great question. What's the end game with human enhancements? Like, what happens when we have perfect IQ, perfect health, unlimited energy?
We are a species that pursues. There is no end game. Humans don't have an end game. You'll never hit a point where you're like, this is good enough.
Yeah.
We're not wired like that.
It reminds me of everybody's homework. Did everybody do their homework?
I did do my homework.
Let's go.
Black Mirror, season 7,
yes.
episode 1.
I watched
Episode
it.
1.
Rivermind and Rivermind Plus and Rivermind Lux. It was hilarious.
I guess this is if you haven't watched it, oops.
Oh, sorry. Yeah,
Sorry,
spoilers, everybody.
Sorry.
Everybody was supposed to do their
Spoilers?
homework. Black Mirror, episode 7, season 1. I gave it to you guys on Thursday. You have 4 days to do it. We're going to jump into it because you said you wanted to talk about when do you bring somebody back, or you had a question that phrased it.
I don't remember how I phrased the question, but I found that episode particularly interesting because it begs the question of what are the moral implications of a company that can't get employees to work for free, which I would like to remind everybody is the eternal problem. The second that people will work for free, then you can get everything you want for free, which is why I'm saying if AI actually does the AI thing, eventually all of this stuff will be free. But in the meantime, we have the moral quandary of everybody refuses to work for free, and therefore solutions like that have to be paid for. And so now you get into this, which I thought was handled brilliantly in that episode of, okay, your wife is brain dead. She's donezo. Time to say goodbye. Or we can upgrade her brain, but you have to pay a subscription fee.
It's crazy.
And do you do it?
It's crazy.
When they drove past the city lines and she like went offline,
Yeah.
he's like, oh, you went outside her coverage area. I was like, yo, that's really a company though. That's.
But also how they kept just like nonchalantly like upping the price and the levels and stuff too was crazy.
Now,
Because
that's
Netflix did that to
I'm
me.
gonna say that's Netflix. That's
Yeah.
exactly Netflix.
Black Mirror
this is all
on
gonna happen.
Netflix.
This is so
I'm
crazy.
looking at you. That's crazy.
That pillow came in a little too quick at the end. Joshua, I'm with you. I'm with you. I was like, damn.
No, but then she turned into an ad. Like, yo.
That's why she said, "Do it when I'm not here."
Yeah.
I was like,
This is tough, man. I'll be honest. They do a phenomenal job of painting a very horrific idea, but the part that I couldn't get beyond is she would literally rather be dead. That struck me as crazy.
Yeah.
Like what, in fact, boys and girls, chat, what percentage of time where you're spewing ads would you say, okay, if it crosses this percent, I would just rather be dead?
That sounds like a poll.
it does sound like a poll. Well, what's the poll?
That's hard. It's hard.
Yeah,
Be-
You'd have to put like tranches.
Be ad enabled or brain dead.
be ad
with
enabled.
no like requirement on
Be
the
ad enabled or
Be
brain
ad
dead.
enabled or brain dead. Because that was the bittersweet part too. Was just like you should have killed her. And that's my thing with technology is that the slippery slope of it all is that
And that's what we want to ask: be ad enabled or brain dead.
You can start there. It's entirely possible that chat shocks me, but this is like this is a harder question than the one that yes, Ian, choose very wisely.
Can we restrict types of ads? Music City Bird, I don't know if you've seen it,
All
but
right.
there was a lube ad. It was a counseling ad.
Yeah, it's all
Christian ad,
contextual,
Christian
so
church ad.
it's
Yeah, the
like,
Christian.
it's going to be an ad based on what you're
Okay,
dealing
but
with.
when they were getting intimate, and she started doing lube ads, I was like, okay, that's crazy.
Can we not admit though? Sometimes you'd be like, "Ooh, that's actually a good one. That's perfect. Thank you." I'm just hold on a second. Let me.
I forgot. Can we order that? Matter
Like
of
a
fact,
well-timed ad. Plus, if they're fun, like if the ads are enjoyable, like this, it all matters. It all matters. Immediately, no ads for me. Not having control of your body, pure embarrassment. Yes, but being dead is your alternative.
That's what's crazy about it is that there's no philosophical like, okay, this person deserves life. There's no standard of living baseline. She turned into a drug addict.
What do you mean this person deserves life? Okay, so this is the argument of where you and I are colliding is, if this is free, meaning there's no cost to produce it, then yes, of course, everybody should get it. But when it isn't free, you're saying that somebody needs to work for free because it has to be paid for. This is where I really think people do not think through how the economy works. Like all of us have to go do a thing in order for people to have a thing. And if you don't get to tell me that you can't force me to do the thing, well, then you have to incentivize me to do the thing. And the way that we incentivize people to do anything is with money. And so then it's like, what's happening right now? Like at some point, you're just saying that we're going to take the labor of other people and apply it to this thing. I don't see how that holds up.
Yes, but this is a fear of mine specifically with AI and future tech, is because we're going to do a lot of things that we're not capable of doing. We're going to save a lot of lives, but there is going to be a Rivermind Plus. There is going to be a Rivermind Lux. There is, and when I say that, I'm saying there is going to be the option of saving a life, but the asterisk is if you can afford it.
Yes.
And I think that's the part.
Let me say it another way.
Yeah.
There's going to be a Rivermind Plus until people are willing to work for free.
But not even people are willing to work for free. Because even with like hospital bills.
That is the point.
No, but that's the Hippocratic Oath. Like you can still get life-changing surgery.
Hippocratic Oath is first do no harm. Not you owe somebody your work to save their life.
No, but at a hospital, even if you don't have the money, if it's like life-threatening, they'll do it.
That's not the Hippocratic Oath.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, the hospital is required legally to service anybody regardless of income. However, it'll be a bill. You'll have to pay for the rest of your life. I get all that. I'm saying specifically with this, with like the Riverminds, like there are going to be people who don't have that requirement, who by law is like, I don't have to save your life. You can just go die. And that's the part that I'm like, there's like, you're going to kill them. Like it feels weird. It feels icky.
Okay. First of all, you're not going to kill them. You're going to let them die, which is very different. But okay, so for you, it doesn't come down to that somebody is being forced to work to pay for this.
I understand the inputs and outputs of capitalism. That's not my my gripe. My gripe is, as we advance technology, as we advance AI, there is going to be a company that draws that line somewhere that says I can extend this person's life, or they can just whittle up and die.
Yes.
And unless you pay me, I'm not going to intervene into that.
Yes.
And I'm saying right now in our current society, hospitals are required to extend that life. It's not like you have to pay to play. And I worry about that trade-off happening sooner rather than like that being grandfathered in, or a company like Vermont.
Can you zoom in on what your actual problem is?
I don't want people to have to pay for life-saving.
I get it, but people have to work for free then.
Or that's
so you're just saying work for free. Everybody work for free.
It's not people have to work for free.
Yes, it is. At what point is it not, unless you have AI, at what point is it not somebody working for free?
Because okay, so how do you, I'm still going to get charged. I guess that's the point. Like you can bill it, but just the fact that you could deny service. I don't want the service to be denied.
But bro, the service costs money. That's why it gets denied.
That's not true though, because with a hospital, it costs money, but it doesn't get denied.
The hospitals are like, fuck you. You're going to work for free. Dear taxpayer, we are going to aggregate your money and we are going to spread them over these services, which by the way, look at our debt, because we can't actually afford it. We do a whole bunch of things that we can't afford, not realizing there's a cliff. You eventually go off that cliff. And so what we say right now as Americans is fuck the kids, fuck their future, don't care. We're going to do things right now on debt in the extreme, and the future can fuck off. Like they can sort themselves out. Literally, that's how we act. We're $36 trillion in debt. We care not about the future. We care only about the people right now today, where we're like, yeah, you're going to get the thing that you want, because that's how democracies work. People vote for more shit. And I'm just saying, like, there's no easy answer to this. This is messy. This is why I wanted to talk about it. All I want people to do is face nakedly the hard fucking truth, which is that we are all the problem, because none of us will work for free. And the second we will work for free, then this all goes away. But nobody will do it. Every time you attempt to do it, you have to do it at the end of a barrel of a gun, and you have to tell people you're going to keep fucking working, and we know how that ends up. Chat, hit me, like, give me your best shot. Jordash, I always leave that out, because not only have I not made a dime off of impact theory, I just keep putting money into the areas that we want to develop into. But that doesn't matter. That's my fucking choice. I could go work for somebody else. So there you have it. All right. Red light?
Yes. We have 2 super chats that just came in.
Super chat.
We've got one from Tracy. Tracy said, Tom, you said the 9/11 hijackers came in
here we go.
illegally. Actually, they had visas.
Yes.
Using ChatGPT to fact check on lives could be a great way to teach
Yeah, we
real
really
critical
do have to
thinking
start that.
in action.
I don't know that we would have checked that one, because I felt pretty confident on that.
They
But
also said, please don't contribute to misinformation.
I said that?
Tracy
No,
said
I'm misinformation all fucking day. This is, okay.
Thank you, Tracy.
This will be the hill that I get mauled on. Now, when you say thank you, what do you mean?
Thank you for bringing that up to our attention via super chat. Thank you for paying to correct us.
That is admittedly
Thank you.
exceedingly generous. Here's the reality, though. I am going to get things wrong. And when I'm wrong, I'll say, oh, cool. Thank you. I want to understand the truth, but I am not going to be afraid to say the things that I believe are true. I can articulate the argument from the other side, but I think it's stupid.
The argument of, we're talking about misinformation?
We're talking about the Douglas Murray, Sam Harris,
Okay.
bring experts on. Why are we letting Podcastistan?
Yeah.
Why are we letting people talk about this? That to me is moronic. That is somebody who is far too confident in experts. That is somebody who is worried that people cannot think for themselves. I think experts are dope. And when I have somebody that knows a lot about something, I'm going to be like, yeah, word, tell me more. When I'm making decision inside of a company, I am going to prioritize information from people that have shown a track record of success in that area. And at the same time, I am going to seek disconfirming evidence, even because here's the thing that's not being said in this debate, and it's fucking ridiculous. Following cause and effect is all that matters. If an expert has spent more time on a subject and they are better at identifying an obvious string of cause and effect, amazing. But cause and effect is the thing that you're going for. So on something like that, if you get it wrong, if you get cause and effect wrong, you want to update your thinking as fast as humanly possible. If you have facts wrong, but they don't interrupt the cause and effect, I'm less worried about those, but you still want to get to the truth, as close to the truth as you can, for sure. So I hunger to be corrected. So I'm grateful to everybody in the feed and Tracy who have helped me get a little bit more knowledgeable. That is super useful.
Yeah, that's what I think.
But the idea that people should not, quote unquote, contribute to misinformation is a suicide run that I just completely reject aggressively. Now, if somebody is being a dickhead and they are intentionally trying to befuddle people, I feel differently about that. But the reality is people are going to do that, and whatever. I don't give a fuck.
Yes. No issues. I think I want to parse out two things specifically for this situation. You do pride yourself on being the learner and seeking disconcerting evidence. So thank you for Tracy's and Brutus Lugos and other people in the chat who consistently try to give us other angles and update our thinking real time. We appreciate having that back and forth. But then on the other hand, conversation shouldn't only be reserved for people who pass a certain criteria or a threshold or something like that.
Yes, and the most important thing, people are inevitably going to be wrong, no matter how expert and wise they are. Like Newton disseminated misinformation. Are we going to say that we would have been better in a world where Newton just kept his fucking mouth shut?
What do you mean Newton disseminated disinformation?
Newtonian physics are inaccurate. Einsteinian physics are inaccurate. We will eventually learn that he was wrong about something, and yet they still move things forward. Listen, I am a particular AI that people should use in a particular way. I am a gist guy. I literally don't care to memorize a bunch of facts. I am, because I'm fucking terrible at it. Let's start with that. My brain just doesn't work like that. When I say the gist, I mean, I'm trying to track down a sequence of cause and effect, because understanding cause and effect has huge positive implications in your life and allows you to navigate the world well. You try something, it doesn't work. You figure out fiendishly why it didn't work. You try something new, on and on and on and on and on and on. What I can see now is this desperate cry for people to like, hey, tuck it in, shh, shh, shh. Don't think out loud. Go be quiet. Go listen to the experts. Only speak up when you have something expert to say. And I'm saying that's not a good way to live life. A far more useful way to live life, human flourishing, pursuit of goals. These are the things that I care a lot about. Cause and effect. By thinking out loud, people will correct you and you will figure out where you're wrong. That is so useful. But first, you must have the balls to speak and to be willing to face that when you get it wrong, people are going to fucking clown on you. People are going to think less of you. You are embarrassed in the public eye, but that's also how you get better. So anyway, I will continue to beat that drum. And I want to make sure that people discern. I had no beef with Tracy's correction. My beef is that don't spread misinformation entirely.
Yeah. And I do want to shout out our audience. I had an exchange with a couple people in the comments over this weekend, and I'm seeing her in the chat now, Elkie. Me and Elkie were getting into it in like 4 different topics. Like we were on the exact opposite sides. We were going back and forth. I called her disingenuous one time. Like we were arguing. And then in another comment, somebody like said something crazy about me, and she was the first person to like defend me. It was like, what? She's like, wait, no, don't talk about you. He's a producer. So I love that our audience is both willing to get in the trenches and like argue, but then also has like, we're not just yelling at each other. We're not playing team ball. We're not trying to dunk on each other. So to your point, we need more people like Tracy and stuff like that who can come and say, hey, y'all said this, y'all got that thing wrong. We like that back and forth. We like that opinion. So
I love that.
Don't take Tom's spiciness for only yes men.
I also like to think this has been very non-spicy.
Somebody said Tom is grumpy today, so like, you know.
Well,
am I grumpy today?
And I have another super chat.
Another super chat.
Let's
And
go.
this one ties back to our Black Mirror conversation here. It's from Dan Silk. Dan says, we needed to know what it means to lose someone in order to appreciate life. Lost my first child, and appreciation tie the two.
Jesus.
I have so much more.
Sorry for that loss, Dan.
Yes, in all capital letters. Losing a child is it's pure imagination on my part, but that is the most horrible thing that I can imagine. Yeah. I don't want it for anybody. That's a level of horrid. Ugh. So yeah, my heart truly goes out to you.
Going back to it, like, is there, as we advance in technology, where is the line for like morality? Or should there be some type of, okay, you guys can do all this technological advances, but these are the baselines for the people who can't afford it? Like, is there some type of asterisk, or in the Rivermind perspective, should there be some type of Rivermind classic for the super poor people who just need the like?
To me, it goes something like this. AI has the potential to drive energy costs and labor costs to zero. And then you actually have a labor force that will work for free. Get to that as quickly as you can so that you can extend human life without having to play the capitalistic game. But the capitalistic game is a reflection of the algorithms running in the human mind.
The pursuit, always getting better, or chasing.
Yeah, like, and I would like an incentive, please. I would like to control my life. I would like to do the things I want to do. And because we have these algorithms for pursuit, for goal attainment, to be ambitious, when you unlock that, you get this unbelievable creativity. Remember, China watched what happened to Leninist, Marxist Russia and was like, let's not repeat those mistakes. They watched the fall of the Berlin Wall. They watched the disintegration of the USSR. And they said, we have to use, and they looked at their own history. And they said, we have to use red light, green light capitalism in order to get the kind of growth that we want. And it's been unbelievable. But what they're doing is unlocking incentive systems. And so all I'm saying is you can get where you want to get, but you do it not by fighting against the nature of humans, but by leaning into the nature of humans and saying, okay, cool, I get it. We have to let people choose for themselves. We have to let people pursue the things that they're good at and that they love. We have to let society reward people with money for the things, and adoration, ideally, for the things that we want to see more of. And when you do that, you see people invest. Multi-generational investment is always going to yield the biggest rewards. And all of a sudden, you get all the things that you want. But there is a brutal reality to be faced, which is that until you can get all of this for free, some people will be left behind. And that is grueling, man. And when I say things like that, I put myself in the position of, okay, what if you're the one left behind? Do you all of a sudden switch all of your principles? And here's the really hard reality. I don't trust myself not to. I don't think I will, but I don't trust myself not to. So I want a system that protects from people that all of a sudden, when all the motivations are for themselves, that they're going to act in the most selfish way humanly possible. And it disturbs me to no end that a drowning man will drown the person that comes to save him in order to be on top of the water. That's fucking terrifying, but that's humans. And so I think I never know what to make of this because this is so easy to clip out and take out of context. But Jordan Peterson, I think, has the right mental frame of reference. And if you read the Gulag Archipelago, I think you will agree. When you imagine the Nazi death camps, do not imagine yourself as the person that hides Anne Frank in your attic. Imagine yourself as the Nazi guard who loves his job. Oh, that is, that's dark, but that's humans.
What about the cultural nuances to this? I'm seeing a couple of things in the chat about like, it's okay. Like we grieve when we see like a child, like our person in the chat who said they lost a child, but then we're okay with capitalism being capitalism and people not being able to afford Rivermine Lux and just dying or living lives as drug addicts, things like that.
Yes.
I'm laying this. And then you look at different cultures like Asian cultures where they're a bit more subservient, they're a bit more respectful to their elders and things like that. Do you think this is a US like AI take, or do you think there's gonna be other cultures that are more nuanced that might be different, or do you think human nature is gonna human nature regardless?
Well, so here's the fascinating thing about human nature. It gives you both Americans and Chinese.
So depending where you at, that's gonna be where it is, yeah.
And I mean, look, there are very fascinating hypotheses around things like rice agriculture requires a much more communal thing. And so over time, like that leads to communal societal structures. I don't know if it's true, but I will say that if you bring somebody from China and you raise them in America with American ideas, they will grow up to be American. And if you flip it and you raise an American in China, they will grow up with Chinese ideology. So the beginning of your life matters tremendously. What your parents instill in you matters tremendously. We have enough flexibility to go either way. So you can put either of those algorithms in the human mind and there's not enough friction to stop. So you can go either way.
How do we balance this then, though? Because this is supposed to be the age of abundance. We're supposed to be getting everything. But it seems like what you're saying is human nature is going to human nature regardless. So even in the age of abundance, there'll still be greed. There'll still be people manipulating the system.
Yeah, it'll look very different, but humans will still want to differentiate themselves from other humans.
Yeah.
No one wants to blend in.
Yeah.
That's not entirely, that's a very American statement. if you want people to do something extraordinary, you need to tap into the algorithm of them not wanting to blend in. That's a more accurate statement. But let me tell you, Xi Jinping is not trying to blend in. He's trying to rule that bitch.
I hear
Full stop.
that. Okay.
Shall we look at the poll results?
Oh, I
Yes.
forgot about the poll results.
Let's go.
Yes.
My goodness.
I forgot about the poll.
You forgot about the poll results. Well, we've got, I'm going to end it, 225 votes. And we've got 60% who said they'd rather be brain dead. And 39% who'd rather be ad enabled. And then I also saw on Twitch we had two people who voted ad enabled.
I don't know what to do with that.
I don't know if I'll be ad enabled. That's hard for me. That is hard. That's hard for me.
Yeah.
I'm emotional right now. Like, that is really hard.
That 60
for me to
people wanted
digest.
to be humans and not shills for big pharma.
Whoa.
While they
Yeah, Tracy Ellis Ross really sold it, though. I tell you what.
This was me 2 months
And
ago.
I was like, girl, yes.
Wow. Wow. Okay. I live in an alternate universe. That
So
is
you
crazy
yourself
to me.
would be ad enabled.
Do you know how absurd that question sounds to me? Let me walk you through something. Jesus Christ. There didn't used to be phones.
Yeah.
Then there were neighborhood phones, phone lines that you shared with other people. Then you had rotary phones that were fucking slow and terrible, and they were attached to the wall. Then you had cordless phones. Then you had big brick cell phones. Then the cell phones got smaller. So by using this system, these things get better. So when I look at, would I rather be dead, which is a permanent state of affairs, no more you, end of that conscious experience. It's all gone. Mm-hmm. Or would I rather be ad enabled so I can stay alive long enough for this technology to get better? That is so fucking crazy to me that people would rather just be like, tap out because some percentage of my life would be lame. That is crazy.
We're also missing a key component of this episode.
I can't fathom what element
which was
of this
they
we're
couldn't
missing.
afford it. They couldn't afford to continue the subscription model.
Yes, they could. They couldn't afford to not have. Hold on.
He afforded it because he drank his own pee.
He took out all his teeth.
He took out his teeth.
And then they kept
And
upgrading
he
the
had
levels.
a glove. Shall we? Yeah, he was on.
I just need 30 minutes. Just give me 30 minutes of the.
He was on.
What
Dummies.
what tooth would you like me to pull to keep my wife alive? And that people are like, I don't give a fuck about that bitch. Smother your wife with a pillow rather than have her run ads or have to pull your own teeth or drink your piss. I'll fucking shovel piss down my throat while pulling my teeth out to keep my wife alive. What the fuck universe am I in right now where people are like, I don't want fucking ads that will clearly go down in frequency over time. The technology will clearly get better and cheaper over time because all of fucking human history tells me that that's true. Yo, what the actual fuck? This is so crazy to me that people value their own lives that little, let alone people outside. The poll was about them. So I want to be very clear. Maybe this would score better if it was like, what would I do to save my wife? I legitimately feel like I'm in a Twilight Zone episode right now. This is so crazy. That's so selfish. Kyle, what the fuck are you talking about? What is selfish about that? What is happening right now?
What's the point of living if you don't have control? Like,
listen,
it's not.
What happened to free will?
I'm not. Okay, hold on. If my wife was saying, let me die, I'm clearly not going to chain her up and force her to be alive.
Okay.
But Jesus Christ, I am going to do everything I can to be like, hey, hang in there. Let's stay alive. Over time, this is going to get better. We're going to be able to solve this problem. But if you're dead, dead is forever. And there's no coming back from that. I can't believe I'm so out of step. This is crazy.
Is there a line, though,
Jesus.
that you...
Wow. This is so... Your guys' arguments are so uncompelling. For real. Obviously, if life is nothing but pain and misery, there would be no point to being alive. But... yeah, I'm running on the back of some base assumptions. We clearly do not share base assumptions. Okay.
Okay, hold on. The base assumptions, let's go specific to this episode. The homework, the episode you gave me.
This is crazy. This is crazy.
The subscription model kept getting more expensive as opposed to less expensive.
Yep. Does that sound like a writer fucking with you, or does that sound like reality?
It sounds like a writer fucking with you.
Correct.
But for all intents and purposes, for the next 5 years, this is what it is. Between 3G and 5G, it did take some time. So it could get cheaper, but for the next 3 years, I just got fired from my job. I was doing this for 10 years. I do not see a way out.
Yep.
I'm all for gung-ho. I'm going to will my way through it. But there are walls sometimes. That's my argument earlier.
So wait, are you saying the life that I'm living is so miserable, I'd rather be dead?
I think that's where the option comes down to.
Yes, I get it. People should be allowed to commit suicide. No beef. There are circumstances I can imagine where I cannot see an end to my suffering, and I would rather be dead. Yep, got it. I did not see that in that episode, but I certainly.
So did you just see a guy that he had a bunch of teeth left, and he should have just kept pulling them to do whatever needs to be done?
Yeah, if you're going to put it like that, yes. I know what I would be willing to do. If I didn't have to step outside of my morality to save my wife, I would do it.
Ooh, they brought up another good point. Let's not forget they were childless, not by choice, and she would have to pay more even to get pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
So she'd rather be dead? I'm still, what?
Well, they're just saying like everything started costing money to do anything with her life. And then to sleep less. Remember? She had to sleep like 16 hours a day. And they were using her brain to power the grid instead of to help her.
Which is nuts.
Yeah.
Like servers were updated.
Wow. Okay. Heard?
Lab experiment said, what if death is not forever and reincarnation is the ipso facto?
Wouldn't that be lovely? This is
Rebecca Miller's with you.
I'm shook
agree
right
with
now.
Tom. Fight for life until it's pried out of my cold dead hands.
Yeah. Rebecca, what's happening right now?
Okay, new poll. Would you make your loved one ad enabled or brain dead?
Hold on.
Would
that sounds like a terrible.
No, but like, because before it was about us. Like, would you save yourself or would you rather be dead?
Yeah.
Now for your loved one, would you?
I'll have to put the caveat that you have every reason to believe that your loved one would want to be alive.
Okay.
So you want me to write the poll?
What the fuck is this show? Ivywood Records. Welcome. This is pretty good. I feel something right now.
Yeah,
I'm here for this.
Interesting.
I get it, Chad. If this is not
Feelings
your flavor,
are good.
full respect.
Feelings are good.
But this is making me feel something.
So you want me to run the poll?
Yes, please.
Tom, are you saying you would have been okay being a human battery in the Matrix? November 47.
I mean, you're alive. You're not dead.
Drew, how rad did the Matrix look?
It didn't look rad.
What?
You're talking about like in the red bubble when you're plugged in? What?
You're saying
with the holes?
No.
Yeah.
Imagine you're awakened and you can both exist in Zion at the party of parties and go into the Matrix and be a fucking superhero. You're saying that, nah, I'd just rather be.
I feel like you're over-indexing on Neo and you're not indexing on the little kid that had to like carry the missiles. And like,
for all you know, this is what life is right now. That you are in a vat somewhere and this is all a simulation.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But your life is still worth living, no?
Yes.
So can we not agree that it is far better, even if I am in a vat somewhere, powering the machines? This is my experience. This is what I'm going through consciously. So yeah, I would rather be the copper top than cease to exist as a conscious mind. This is so fascinating.
Okay, a lot of people are confused in the chat. We're going to just catch everybody up. This is about Black Mirror episode Common People. The premise of the episode, no spoilers, is that somebody...
we spoiled the life out of this.
I'm trying to be nice for the people who haven't seen it.
Sorry.
There was a surgery that was life-saving for the wife, but it had a subscription cost. So what happens when you can't afford the subscription to keep your partner alive? And that's the moral debate that we're going through right now. The poll before was, do you want your partner to be ad-enabled, or would you rather them just be dead because you can't afford it? Caught up. Yeah. I'm trying to think like what the breaking point is for some people. Like, is this, to me, the affordability is what made it hit home. I looked at it as an allegory on like capitalism, gentrification, like all that, and about how the standard of living is declining unless you can afford to keep up with the increasing rise of like standards of living.
Mm-hmm.
So I understand from a capitalist perspective, yes, in order to go upward, you need to continue to allocate resources, you need to continue to take chances, all those things. So I'm cool with all of that. I think the part where my red light comes in is when it oversects on like life or death. And I think that there is a moral case that if you can keep a person alive, you should keep them alive, regardless of their income level. And that's the part that I need to just square or look in the mirror or talk to God about.
But you don't have a beef with the guy smothering his wife with a pillow.
No, because she wanted it, and at that point, their life wasn't good. Like, she was a drug addict. Like, in hindsight, I think he would have preferred to just let her.
Are you saying we should smother drug addicts?
No, unless they want to get smothered, and then
This is going so dark.
then they can get smothered. Nerve, you get me. Thank you, Nerve. Somebody sees me.
Oh.
Somebody feels seen.
Trude.
Good Lord. Okay, well, this has been
RFK
fascinating.
first.
I really appreciate you guys sharing. This is
I feel like
unbelievable.
you're ejecting from the conversation.
I don't know where else to go with this. So
We can round it out with the poll results.
clearly, I am in the minority. Fair enough. So it goes. But I really, really feel like people have a frame of reference that is going to cause them so many problems in life. If you found yourself in the 60% that cannot see a path out of that situation, that is somebody who sees the problems in their life, not the solutions. It is bananas to me. And I look out in the world and I see this all the time where the problems are easy to see, man. I get it. But I would like to hit you with a Shakespeare quote. Nothing is either good or bad, but thinking makes it so. So, man, running some ads, yeah, I get it. You can get yourself in a twist about it, and it's terrible. But I would say that's the wrong way to think about it. I would be thinking, okay, what do I need to do? What can I do to move this forward, this technology? Do I become an advocate? Do I become, as somebody was saying, why didn't she drive Uber? Sure, you can't be a school teacher, but finding a way to stay alive is a pretty big key. Did she even ask, hey, are you guys hiring? And do employees get like better benefits, extended coverage, cheaper rates? None of this is explored. This is, and look, this is the fun of a Black Mirror episode, is to explore the edges of the problem. I just did not see everybody going with 60% that I'd rather be dead than ad enabled. I don't know how to metabolize this moment in human history. This is fascinating. Okay.
We have a super chat
Super chat.
from Michael Vandergallion. He said,
Our boy
Super chat.
in Turkey.
This is insane. Of course, Tom would do everything in his power to keep the love of his life alive. Death is dead. Even if reincarnation exists, she won't be living like his wife and not as the person she is now either. Fight for her, Tom.
I'm with you, Michael. I am with you. This has really been interesting. So I get that my vibe is one of deep and profound shock, maybe sadness, that manifests, it seems grumpy. However, that isn't the internal experience. The internal experience is one of having scales removed from my eyes. I do not like to fight what is true. And what is true is 60% of this audience would rather be dead than ad enabled. Okay, I am closer to the truth. Whew. I love you all. I want good things for you. May it never come to pass that you are faced with that kind of decision. May we get to something approaching the technological utopia, which of course we will never have a utopia, but maybe get closer to something so amazing in all of your lives, be absolutely incredible. You not have to worry about affording anything. I want that for all of you. And for that reason, we should all be encouraging of a sane, because we do have to worry about alignment, pursuit of AI and driving energy costs to zero. And if we can all get on board with that, we will never have to collide with this very terrifying impulse that you guys have. to avoid temporary suffering. That is certainly how I would categorize it. With love in my heart, I say all of that. Okay.
And with love in my heart,
nice.
I give you the final poll results.
Let's go.
We have 173 votes. And the question was, would you rather have your loved one be ad-enabled or brain dead? And 60% said ad-enabled. 39% said brain dead, which is the exact same
Whoa.
numbers that we
interesting.
had
That is super
for the previous
weird. I
one,
love that.
except 60% said brain dead, and then 39% said
So if it's
ad-enabled.
if it's my body, just kill me. But if it's a loved one, keep
I'm
them
gonna fight
alive.
for them. Yeah.
I certainly prefer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got some
certainly prefer
wowzas in the
that.
chat. I agree. Wowza. That's crazy.
Yup.
Yeah. Yeah. Nihilism is on the rise. Interesting.
Terrifying.
Terrifying.
Truly.
No, it's interesting that the poll was inverted. Okay. Is this an instant gratification thing? Are you looking at it from that perspective where it's like,
No, this isn't. I don't think that. I think what base assumptions would be driving this. I think that people can more easily imagine their life being permanently bad than they can imagine solving very difficult problems. I think that's where people end up. Versus saying, okay, I've got to make sure that I stay alive long enough to whatever the problem is that I'm facing, I need to solve it. But this problem is solvable. And I think that is the default algorithm that runs in my brain. And the thing that I need is time in order to solve it. The other default assumption that I have is that consciousness is this incredibly rare and wonderful thing that does make us experience a whole range of emotions. There's no doubt about that. Consciousness comes with a tremendous amount of suffering. But on the other side of that suffering is something so awe-inspiring that it's worth it. So anyway, and then I guess last one for me, death is forever. And so if people have a vision that they go to heaven or something like that, well, why would I want to be ad-enabled? Let me just eject out of this and go to heaven. I don't have that belief. I think it is like a light switch. And when it's off, there's just no more light.
what do you think happens to your energy?
Just like anything, your body stops producing ATP because it's becoming disorganized. That disorganization moves towards complete entropy and you become fertilizer. And then it grows plants. And I mean, these are all the real things that happen, certainly on a historical time frame when you're not embalmed. So yeah, and I don't find that distressing, but while I'm alive, I certainly don't want to extinguish prematurely my candle of awareness, consciousness. Okay. There we have it.
All right.
There we have it.
Back to the news. There's two more things I want to cover.
Let's
then
go.
the audience chat has some stuff that we owed y'all from last week that we'll review.
All right.
Next thing, RFK is today announcing a plan to remove artificial food dyes from the American food supply with the FDA completely. No more food dyes in any of our foods.
Wow.
To me, this is a big win across the board. I feel like this is something he's been campaigning on since when he was running for president. So I'm 100% in favor with this. I don't understand the opposition. I feel like this should be a universal win.
The whole pushback against RFK I find very confusing. Yes. So we very much want to look at something has gone very wrong. So from a health perspective, we're not in a good place. And so what exactly is happening? I think that looking at environmental toxins and the things you ingest are just like the 1-2 punch. And given that he's got a whole history of dealing with environmental toxins, I think he's ready to go on that. And he's at least looking at what's happening in our food system. And to me, I'm here for it. I'm totally on board.
Yeah. Although this is like something that's pushing out to the FDA, there is going to be a system and time for them to kind of transition the foods. But to me, once I started to realize that these same foods are made differently in other countries and just for America, they're adding in all the dyes and stuff, it sounded easy, like an easy win for me. Like, oh, companies are already doing 2 formulas depending on what country it's going to. They can just keep the chemicals out. So
yeah, I mean, listen, there are reasons that they put the chemicals in there. It makes it more enjoyable. People like it better, cheaper. It's just probably not worth the trade-off. And so having somebody go in and say, you know what, we're going to be default a little more cautious. We tried the GRAS, generally recognized as safe list, letting people basically auto add things to that list. We don't know that that's the cause, but that certainly hasn't benefited us in a way that is appreciable. So let's try the opposite approach and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, we do need to figure out like what is actually causing these problems. Now, it's going to be a multivariate equation. It's going to be very difficult, but I think AI really is going to be the answer. And there are plenty of people coming out that have used I think it's Google that has the medical focused AI. Yeah. And the people that I've seen anyway that walk away from that are like, yo, this is going to change everything. So yeah, I'm super optimistic about that.
Nice. We will monitor that situation. And then in Google monopoly news, so this has been an interesting story. Google recently was diagnosed as a monopoly.
Diagnosed? I like that.
It's just because that's what the DOJ said. So they have to break up their search and ad business. That includes Google Chrome. There's some sell-offs about Android units, things like that. But I think the interesting thing is that in its proposal, Google says that if the DOJ breaks it up, it would harm the global race with China, as in it's going to affect America's standing in the tech race with China. It feels like a good argument, but it also feels convenient that on the back of their monopoly trial, they're bringing this up. Do you think they have some credence in that?
I have a default stance that monopolies are bad for competition, and competition is exactly the thing that we need. So it's probably not a bad idea to break them up. But if you're them and you're thinking, hey, look at all the cool things that we've done, including putting a ton of money into the thing that now became Waymo, we are able to aggregate a lot of capital. And because we're able to aggregate that capital and we're willing, obviously, to make huge investments into new technology, this is going to be a mistake. And as you break us apart, yes, those individual products will get better, but we won't have the aggregate horsepower that we have right now. And so I think they're going to make whatever argument they feel is going to be convincing. So I do not trust them to have a moral compass here. But I also don't think the argument is totally meritless. But I will fall back on my default stance is monopolies are bad, that we have a court system for a reason. If they have spent the amount of time that they spend on these things and walk away going, yeah, this, especially under Trump. So if it started under Biden and Trump was like, yep, keep going, then I'm like, okay, this is about as close to a bipartisan look at this as you're going to get. Then I'm not going to put in the work to figure out whether this is actually a legitimate antitrust case or not. So I'm happy to abide by the courts. And normally the consumer makes out well with that. Now, if the DOJ looks at this and goes, actually, yeah, you're right, we're going to try to minimize the forced sell-off and all of that because we don't want to lose some of these advantages. Fair enough. I don't have a strong sense on this, but I do think that even from a shareholder perspective, you normally see values go up when they break these companies up because instead of it being one, like the purchasers of stocks, instead of looking at it as one aggregated entity, they're able to treat each thing individually and go, well, this thing, its earnings, instead of being the amount that the earnings of that sub entity contribute to the overall thing, it's just that. And so the multiple on that revenue could potentially go up pretty dramatically. So yeah, I imagine that they took a nice, good, hard look and that this will be better for the consumer.
Yeah. The Lee Ann Mulholland, Google's vice president of regulatory affairs, said the DOJ's proposal would hamstring how we develop AI and have a government-appointed committee regulate the design and development of our products. That would hold back American innovation at a critical juncture. We're in a fiercely competitive global race with China for the next generation of technology leadership, and Google's at the forefront of American companies making scientific and technological breakthroughs.
Well, it may surprise no one, but I obviously hackle at the idea of a government-appointed body, so I'd need to know more about what exactly the government does in cases like this, because it is certainly not my understanding that they have an oversight committee that post the breakup would stay engaged. So I'd be very surprised by that. But there could be something in the way that those businesses feed their AI that I'm just unaware of. And so if that is true, then it could be especially search, it could be very accurate that this will slow them down from an AI perspective. And so I, for one, certainly don't want to see that, but you have to do a cost benefit analysis of what is this doing to the competitiveness of the other marketplaces that they play in. And do we think that consumers will win more on average if we break them apart or if we leave them together? That is a question that would require a level of scrutiny that I just haven't done.
Yeah. I'm going to kind of ruffle some feathers with this, but follow me along for a second. Do you think we're at a juncture that's critical with technologies, AI, robotics coming, that we need a certain sort of Manhattan Project for this, that companies like Google and OpenAI and Grok should be temporarily even exempt from certain breakup cases because we're at the precipice of something so big?
Well, so that becomes a very interesting question. I think anybody would be hard pressed to say anybody in AI has anything even remotely approaching a monopoly. There's just so many options. Even I, yesterday, was working with an app. I was trying to develop my own app, and I started on Firebase and discovered very quickly it's trash for where it is now. Obviously, it'll get better and better. And then I moved over to Lovable, and Lovable was so much better. I was shocked. So, I mean, that's Google, it's Firebase. And so, I moved over to a company that until a month ago, I'd never even heard of. So, I don't think anybody has a monopoly in AI right now. So on that side, an OpenAI, I don't think has to fear being broken up. It'd be very, I think, difficult to make a case. So on that side, do we need it for that reason? No. But do we need a Manhattan Project just to make more rapid progress? It's interesting. I have an intuition that the government just isn't the place for that right now. Now, if they could harness the energy, if the movie Oppenheimer can be trusted in terms of you had the right people, bring the right people together, and then they backed off and just said, do what you're going to do. If they have the guts to do that now, I don't know if they do. But that's pure emotion. That's just a default distrust of the government. I would love to see the world's best and brightest come together and really do something. But the reality is right now the companies are fighting for all of that talent, and we're getting an unreal pace of development. So do you try to break that up when you're already getting that rapid development? I don't know, man. The Manhattan Project for nuclear breakthroughs was probably a different moment. This would be like pursuing AI 10 years ago or 15 years ago, where it's okay, this is so nascent, but if we can crack this, then, oh my God, this could be unreal. But there was so much behind the scenes work for such a long time. I mean, I think Sam Altman has been at OpenAI for 10 years already. So it's, we're way, way, way down the road.
Is there a certain, because China has the advantage, quote unquote, because they can unilaterally put a project together. Their government can say, hey, companies, we'll invest in you, do these specific things. This is your job now, go. And with that, they're able to out-innovate, might be the wrong word, but they're able to scale manufacturing and do a lot of these things that America is getting left behind in. Is there a certain project that you think that America should be focused on right now? I know you've talked about
AI and energy, those are the big ones. Defense is hugely important for sure. But if you got ASI faster than China, basically nothing else matters. If your AI is sufficiently advanced, it will write the ultimate virus and just go shut everything down. So all of their technology, boom. Now, look, it's going to be a cat and mouse game, and that statement made it sound like it'd be easy. It won't be. But that's the race, is if we hit ASI, what are the leaps? Could you have 20,000 years of improvement in a single night? And the answer is yes. If AI reaches a sufficient level, has the energy, has the processing power, that's crazy to think. And I meant that number literally. And so all of a sudden, this is what's known as fast takeoff. All of a sudden, it's the difference between a GI and a SI, if that were to happen, that's a huge if. But if that were to happen, then the advantages would be unbelievably profound. It's just a big if. Don't know if it'll actually play out like that. Energy is going to be the real problem. Right now, we do not have the ability to produce the energy. China is moving a lot faster than we are. And so getting the appropriate amount of energy is going to rapidly become more important than getting the chips.
And that's nuclear, I guess, is our accomplishment with that. I know China's working on their third huge government Earth slowing rotation dam.
Yeah.
But then our equivalent would probably be like some type of nuclear facility working.
It's the only thing on my radar, but it's entirely possible that people are working on something additional that I just don't know about, but I don't think so. So yes, you would need either an equally grand strategy, but I don't know that we have, certainly for hydro, I don't know that we have the rivers that we would need to do that. I don't know. Nuclear strikes me as you can do smaller ones, more of them, localize them to where you want the energy. It's crazy to think that corporations will have their own nuclear power plants, but I think it's Microsoft that was spinning up 3 Mile Island. So it's like, fact check me, but I believe that is true. Somebody is in chat right now, right? Chat GPT saying,
we just
is it Microsoft that's spinning it up? This sounds like a no.
Nope.
Well, this is how we end up in trouble.
They're talking about how Sam Altman's creepy. That's what they're saying. They said nothing good coming out of that guy.
Yeah, I don't feel that way, but I
Altman
get he does have a fascinating demeanor that I have a feeling from things that I've heard, rumor, conjecture, that he also has a pretty biting temper.
Okay. All right, Elkie, we're coming back to those progressive policies. I didn't forget about that. Eunice has a flaming hot take, and I have a culture thing.
I have a flaming hot take.
You do have a flaming hot take. She watched our video yesterday. If you guys haven't watched the Tight 60 that dropped yesterday, I advise everybody to go check it out. But during that Tight 60, we talked about Asmongold's opinion on
It
video
is Microsoft,
games.
by the way.
It is Microsoft.
Spinning up 3 Mile Island. Doing my own fact checking here. Okay. You felt some kind of way?
Yes, I'm gonna play the clip just so
it's crazy because Eunice is an Asmongold super fan. I think that's fair. And so seeing that she would have beef with one of his takes is weird. Off camera, she is so into him. It gets a little uncomfortable sometimes.
I'm gonna play the clip and then we'll react.
God, I love
Someone
that.
said I can see that.
This is misinformation. Now it's like Drew is 53 and Eunice is
Somebody said that earlier too. It was like, why is Tom 49 talking to a 53-year-old? Like, yeah, guys. All right, this is what Asmongold said. We'll talk about it.
I think that pretty much every single circumstance, it's always a bad idea to make characters that are not conventionally attractive. Because this is, again, this is a shooter game, and shooter games are going to be primarily played by men. So if you're making a shooter game that's primarily made for men, then you should make sure that all of the female characters in the game are fuckable. And I know this might sound crazy to say, but I'm just going to say it. That's what you should do. That's what you should do, because that's what people want to do. That's what girls will cosplay. Girls don't want to cosplay ugly, weird-looking, androgynous, creepy characters. And all of that, like, think about how much advertising Marvel Rivals gets because of how many girls try to cosplay the characters. I think...
All right, so that was in response to Marathon's release of the game and his take on character design. Now, Tom, I know you said that you kind of see his point of view. You get it. We might need a poll. Get video game characters need to be effable. But... Eunice, I want you to I know you felt the type of way about this.
Well, I'm just kind of like, he's like, all shooters need to have fuckable characters. And my main thing was like, you're telling me that Call of Duty, which is like the #1 franchise for like shooting games in the world, has fuckable characters? No, bitch. It has John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon. And you know what I mean? Like, it's crazy. And also like Battlefield, Halo. And I even mentioned to Drew, I was like, okay, maybe Cortana, but Cortana's later. You know what I mean? She didn't come in till later. That's why I'm like, what is he talking about?
So in his defense...
This man only played World of Warcraft, and he's basing all of his knowledge off of World of Warcraft, and that's it. He's not ever played any other games.
There it is. Mic drop. I think what he's saying is if you're going to have women, then you want them to be conventional.
Who knows? Are they women? Are they confirmed women? Do we know? Like he did say androgynous.
You're saying in Marathon?
Yeah.
They look like they have a option that are clearly, from my mind, women.
No.
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 So anyway, you make a very good point that I don't think you need to have female characters full stop. But if you want to appeal to men, having people that are conventionally attractive does not strike me as at all a controversial statement.
But he just said a shooter game.
Yes, but his logic, so again, follow the train of logic. His logic is men have an evolutionary response to attractive females or aspirational males. And if they are the core demographic of these games, which I believe they are, then making something where they're in a visual environment that they want to stay in makes sense. Now, my thing is let companies do what they want to do. So if a company really believes, no, he's wrong about that, then make the characters that you want to make. And if there really is an appetite for that, then people will gravitate towards it. I have no beef with that. I don't think anybody has a moral obligation to make characters attractive. Make them whatever you think is cool and that you think the audience is going to resonate with. But his logic seems pretty sound, that there is an evolutionary squeeze when you see something that you either aspire to be or you find attractive. Now, admittedly, I don't understand guys that want to play as female characters, even if they are staring at her ass. Like, maybe I'm just old school, whatever. Like, that feels weird. And Lisa and I were playing, there was a free skin, I forget what it was, that was a female character, and you could only get the female version. It did not, there was no male equivalent. And so my wife, my sister, and I all had the character and we were all playing with it. And I was like, I feel super weird. Like, I don't like this feeling.
Yeah.
And my wife was like, I actually don't like looking over and seeing your avatar as a female either. She's like, it gives me weird cognitive dissonance. She didn't say that, but like, that it feels weird.
Yeah.
And so I immediately stopped and was like, well, sad, cool skin, but I just don't like the way it makes me feel to play it. Now, admittedly, I'm super old. And when I watch streamers, they play as female characters a lot. So I guess it's,
I never had that problem with like female characters. Yeah, I never really.
Me either. But
what was it? Far Cry. I picked the woman Danny versus the male Danny. I don't know. It just.
Oh, so you do play as female characters? I thought you were saying the exact opposite.
Then yeah, I do play as female characters. It doesn't.
Interesting. Why? What makes you pick male versus female?
This is literally my first time actually putting it into words. Like, oh, I consciously do that. That was just the last game I can remember because I played it as the female character. My game restarted for some reason. I picked a dude. And I was like, I want to go back to the female. It was better.
Interesting. But you don't know why it's better.
She was cute.
There we go.
So to Asmongo's point.
Ayo! Proof positive, Eunice.
I'm being a troll.
Proof
I'm being a troll.
positive. Are you?
I am.
So it wasn't because of that.
No, yeah. I didn't think about it. But at the same time, I do have to acknowledge, like, gamers pee themselves at conventions. So like there are people
gamers pee themselves at what?
Like there's a certain demographic of people that really love video games who are excited about the jiggle physics of it all, who are excited to look at like sexy characters. So to say that population doesn't exist, I feel like it does. Like we all know people who play video games and they look a little bit too long. Like I think that's okay to have that stereotype. Like that is
mentally dope in the chat said, are video games a new twin to pornography?
I'm sure for some people. I was watching an episode of Trash Taste. Have you guys ever watched that?
What is that?
What?
Trash Taste.
Whoa. I did not expect chat to know, but I definitely thought you knew. Trash Taste is an anime podcast. Yep. And in fact, I think it's that second one over to the right. So Giguk, who's the guy on the left, is married to that woman, and they were both talking about their like sus anime, not porn fetishes, but like where they'll dip into it. And of course, for women, it's relational. And so they'll play little games on their phone where you're like building a relationship with the character. And the guys were saying, oh yeah, for guys, it like obviously just gets down to it right away, straight to sexual stuff, which again, read the book, A Billion Wicked Thoughts. If you can stomach it. It is extremely graphic. But that book talks about different fetishes that people have as evidenced by their porn searches. utterly fascinating. And the gap between men and women could not be more stark. It is absolutely hilarious. And women want relational stuff, and men literally want close-ups of genitalia. It's absolutely hilarious, the difference between men and women. So anyway, they were talking about that in their are they a game? Are they a story? Are they a Tamagotchi? It's like all sort of blurred together. And it is certainly fascinating. I don't understand animated porn, but hey, teach their own.
It reminds me of Cyberpunk, because I know Cyberpunk you can hook up
That
with
shit
different
was
characters
hilarious.
depending on like what
Yeah.
your build is and stuff like that. But then there's also like you could just go to the what are the prostitutes called? The Joy Toys or something like that.
Sure.
I don't know. The where you could go and it's just like a stripper bouncing on you, and there's like a male one and like a dude one.
They're called strippers, they are strippers or they're prostitutes.
Prostitutes would probably be more accurate. I think they are called Joy Toys, something like that. But like, so it's interesting. You're starting to see nuances in video games now, at least where
Joy Toy.
Joy Toy.
All right, chat beat me typing into Chat GPT.
Just to be it. Cyberpunk was my game.
Joy Toy. Scurbit.
So because I'm seeing the diversification of sexual interest in video games, I do think that the developers they have their pulse on something, because it's not just a bunch of like dude on girl type things, or like anime to me is always like a blonde with like super big tits and they're always falling out, and no matter how big of a warrior she is, she's always in a bralette. Like, so to me it's like fan service in that way, but I do feel like video games are starting to add like these different levels of relationship dynamics, and like it's a different love scene if it's two girls versus it's a different love scene if it's two dudes, and all these other things. Like, so that change is interesting versus like a Mass Effect back in the day where it was like you only had these two characters to like mate with, and they're the same way regardless if you picked a woman or the dudes. Like,
and you feel seen by that.
I'm not saying I feel seen by that. I'm cis, so I was seen 20 years ago when they started these things. But it's just, I feel like it's now intentionally being diversified from like a sexuality perspective. So that is changing. Yes, period.
And you like where that's headed.
I don't have a beef with it. Or do you
Okay.
think that like games are getting too woke because of those things?
I think it is not wise to put it in the woke context. I think that the way to think about it is how malleable are young kids. And human sexuality seems to show a certain amount of malleability. And this is one I am admittedly out over my skis, but there's a book called, I think it's called Sexual Evolution. And I haven't finished reading it, so take this with a grain of salt. But he shows in the animal kingdom that there is a ton of homosexual contact, but it's usually not exclusive. And there are certain animals that will pair bond in a homosexual relationship, and then one of them dies, and then their next pair bond is heterosexual. So the question becomes, can you nudge kids in a direction when they're young? And if you can nudge them in a direction, what direction ought, word choice on purpose, you nudge them in. And that is going to be hotly debated in the coming years, because I have a feeling that what's going to come out in the trans identification stuff, just when you look at that, it is just an upward trend. Like the number of people by birth year that identify as trans is like up and to the right. It is almost a vertical line. It's crazy. So is it a social contagion and it's not real? Or are humans nudgeable and people are being nudged? I don't know. I don't know what the final punchline is going to be, but when you look at the animal kingdom, and here is, if you have kids, they probably should have left a long time ago. But now would definitely be the time. Why is the clitoris on the outside? The only answer that makes any sense is that it can be touched with a hand. And at that point, it's like, well then, who's that access for? And if you think of us as evolutionary creatures, I think that our closest relative is the bonobo. Okay, so they're genetically the closest to us. And from a societal standpoint, they smooth over ruptures in society with contacting genitals. So a female will come up to another female, and as a way of apologizing, she'll touch her sexually. And it soothes all the concerns, and they're able to get to the other side of it. And so as a guy, the number of times where I've been like, what is that doing on the outside? Like, that is the craziest shit I've ever seen in my fucking life.
But that makes
this
people
is absurd.
Worried about the other way, because male pleasure zones are inside of their anus. So,
bro, have you ever touched your penis? That thing's pretty amazing, and it's designed to go inside. So from a I want to get this person pregnant standpoint,
but I mean, like,
chef's kiss.
The male G spot is inside the anus.
Sure, but
so, I mean,
here's the thing:
so,
I've never found myself going, you know, what would make this finally fun?
I'm just talking about the clitoris on the outside, evolution,
and
so then now on this side, does that mean that?
I get how much context matters. I really do. But as somebody who's had a prostate exam, well, let me tell you, I wasn't like, well, this is fun. Context matters.
This is what I've been missing all my life.
Yeah, I wasn't like, well, I've got a new context I'd like to introduce this to. So, yeah, I'm going to say that.
If we're going to talk about where the pleasure zones are.
But the head of the penis, pretty pleasure-y zone-y. So that one doesn't seem weird to me. But, yeah. I don't get it. I have a hypothesis. But if it isn't that, then I'm like, what's happening?
I am not telling people to go inside the booty hole, Brian Johnson.
He's just saying it would be better if you did.
I'm not saying that either. He was just outlining.
I hope
where the pleasure zones
are duct tape closed if they're anywhere
I'm
near
telling you where the male
what you're listening to right now.
All right.
The chat.
Yep.
Y'all are nasty.
Welcome.
Y'all are nasty and y'all are horny.
Welcome.
It's too early for that.
6:31 a.m.
Jeez.
I can't believe it.
7:30.
Oh, 7:30. See, it's too early.
Oh man. Shout out to morning sex. Okay.
Indeed.
I did have a culture thing.
Let's go.
So I found this hilarious. It was at 3:55 when I first brought it up. I don't know where it is right now. 6:75. Okay, so doubled since last night. I'm giving everybody no context. Nobody's seen this.
I've seen her before. Why have I seen her before?
She's once you hear her take, I feel like you saw her around. I didn't realize how big she was. This is my first video of seeing her. But okay, this is the context. I mean, this is the video. No context. We'll talk about it.
Just say, this doesn't work for me. This doesn't work for me because I don't want my girlfriend / future wife half naked out with a bunch of other women getting hit on by men all night. And I would also ask you, doll, if you're with me and happy, why do you feel the need to go out and get all these attention from other men? Why? Because that's why she's doing it. No, she's doing it for herself and her girl. Really? Then why aren't they sitting in the house? Why didn't they get all dressed up in the mini skirts and the sequins and all that stuff and buy some alcohol if they want to be tipsy and go sit in somebody's house and dance with a big disco ball on the ceiling? Because there's no other guys there. Because they're lying to you. Because the whole point is to go out and to get hit on by other men. Because you're not enough. She's not that into you. You are like, okay, but she also wants all the attention from everyone else. Bottom line is, girls' night out is a disaster. It's a hot mess. It's not well-intentioned. It's all bad things. Just say, this doesn't work for me.
It's all bad things. Next time your girlfriend wife tells you she's going on a night out, ask these questions. That was the caption to this video. Eunice had a face. Tom had some sound effects. Yeah. So we have thoughts.
Yeah. Admittedly. Okay. So here's where we're going to get super weird again. Ask yourself these questions, Drew. Why is the penis shaped the way that it's shaped? Why are women far more vocal during sex than men? And you come to a very distressing answer. Why, from an animal kingdom perspective, I'm not saying humans, but from an animal kingdom perspective, why will women sleep with some species? I should be very clear. Why do some species use group sex, maybe a little aggressive, but a lot of copulation with a lot of different males? Why do they use that strategy? And is it possible that there are echoes in the human mind for those things? Why do men deposit, oh God, get your kids away. Why do men deposit more sperm if they've been away from you when they come home? Like, there are just so many things that lead to women having an evolutionary algorithm in their brains to get a lot of joy out of being the center of sexual attention. Now, my wife in our marriage has routinely made the mistake of thinking that I like to dress up for her, or like at Halloween, I had to break her of this very early. She would want me to dress up like a SWAT team member or something like that. And listen, privately, sure, like if that's her thing, but I absolutely despise being the center of sexual attention. So, but women love it. And once I understood, women enjoy that. That's why they want to pose. That's why they want to take all the photos and all of that stuff. And I kept projecting myself onto my wife, being like, why am I taking so many photos like this? Are you not uncomfortable? And then I realized, no, she actually loves it. I would be uncomfortable. And so then once I got my head around, I can just enjoy looking at her, engaging with her, being able to enjoy that part. And she enjoys being looked at. So I was like, oh shit, well, this is fantastic. So just as I will always enjoy looking at attractive women, I get that my wife will enjoy being looked at a distance, presumably, by attractive men. So that doesn't freak me out. And maybe I just am missing that jealousy gene. I don't know. But if my wife wanted to, and she has many times, it wanted to go out to a club with girls, when I say my anxiety levels would be a 0, I mean they would be a 0. One, I trust her completely not to do anything untoward. And 2, I get it. Women like to be the center of sexual attention. Her youth isn't going to last forever. If it makes her feel good that people are oohing and awing over her, great. Now, if she's letting them grind on her, beef. But if she's not, then cool. Like it just does not bother me. So yeah, I don't expect that to necessarily be a popular take, but that will just continue the streak for today, Drew.
Ipso facto, I'll go to the chat next. Eunice, you had some faces.
I just don't like a lady who says, I speak for all women.
Yeah.
Who, and blah, 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 blah.
But don't you want like a nice strong take from somebody?
She could give it, but that doesn't mean that that's not my
take.
take.
But that's the part that you pick up on. Is like, this bitch thinks she speaks for everybody.
Because it's one of those, like, it's just one of these rage bait videos that's just going to make the rounds. It's going to like make people pull apart even more. You know what I mean? Like we mentioned a long time ago. Because it's like, she's not wrong that when, I feel like if during a girl's night, if you dress up to go out, I feel like you are dressing up in order to get some sort of attention or feel admired. But Sarah in the chat actually said it in a really, really good way, I think. She said, women enjoy being admired and getting attention, but not necessarily just being sexual objects. And I agree with that. But also, I'm of the mind of like, if I'm going out, usually I go out because it's my friends are like, hey, let's go out. It's just a girls' night. But if I'm in a relationship, I'm not like actively like dressing up to get attention from males or whatever, you know? So it's kind of just like
but you are still getting dressed up.
Because I want to look good and match the energy of my girls. Like what, I'm just going to show up in jeans and a sweater and they're going to be in cute heels and stuff like that? No, we got to, you text in the group chat and you're like, hey, what are you guys all wearing tonight? I'm wearing this green dress. Oh, I'm wearing this skirt, or I'm wearing whatever. So. It's
interesting. Yeah. So the place I always want to have.
But it's also a trust thing, like you said, like
100%.
Yeah.
The place I always want to have the conversation is at the level of what's the evolutionary algorithm that's driving that behavior. So while I get it, it's not consciously in your mind, but the fact that that dress feels quote unquote appropriate tells you that there's something going on in your brain. Now, it could just be, oh, these are societal standards and I don't want to be outside of the societal standard. Okay, cool. Maybe the evolutionary algorithm is just essentially peer pressure of I want to fit in.
Yeah, like I'm not going to a club in jeans.
But then the question becomes, why did that become the thing that would quote unquote fit in? And there I will say you will inevitably come back to, it becomes the thing because this is exactly how you attract a mate. And evolution has given you a reward signal for that, which is that it feels good to be admired. Now, I get it. People want to be admired by people they want, and they don't want the attention of somebody they don't want. And the difference between somebody coming on to you in a way that is likable and the way that is not is just, do I want this person? Not like in that way, but like, do I admire them? Do I find them attractive? Does it make me feel better about myself to get attention from them? The human mind is the human mind. And just as I would expect my wife to enjoy being ogled at by men that she finds attractive, would also expect her to rise above animal impulses, to trust, or not trust, but to invest more deeply in a relationship and know that we have agreed upon boundaries and blah, 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 and hold to those. I was just talking about this yesterday. My COO asked for my personal credit card, and he said, Lisa, obviously, your wife wants this thing because she wants to buy whatever. And I was like, I love that giving you this card, when I say I have no anxiety that first of all, my wife has earned her half. And then second, just my wife would never do anything to betray me. And I said, admittedly, like, it's entirely possible that this is a 25-year scam that she's running on me, and that I'm just being abused behind the scenes and have no idea. But holy bejesus, I would be shocked. So she's done a very good job of sucking me in if this is a long con, I will admit.
20 plus years.
But I want that for people. I really skurba derba indeed. I'm 49 and Drew is 53. That's correct.
That's it.
Crazy but true.
Okay.
By the way, I do feel, even though I know it won't matter, that's a lie. Drew isn't 53. But because I repeat it, it becomes true. And that is the hilarious part.
It's human nature. I agree. I thank everybody for their nuance and their disclaimers.
Just to put a pin in it, someone in the chat said also, I'm not 64. That's crazy.
Not 64. Wait, what?
Someone said Eunice looks great for 64.
Oh, also true. Very impressive. Tom is
someone
old,
said that
jocks.
married people, like they said, married people should only hang out at the house. But like, what happens if someone's married and someone's single? What do you just do? You just never hang out with them ever again?
Listen,
like those are the
here,
black and white.
There is a thing that like single people shouldn't hang out with married people. Like I've known.
Should not?
I know people who once they became married, they cut off their single friends.
Whoa, that's icy, because your single friend needs married friends in order to see, hopefully, what a stable relationship looks like, to be able to model that. They say if you want to be wealthy, hang around other wealthy people. So if you want to be married, hang around other married people who understand the game. Yeah, we live in a super weird time right now for relationships, full stop. What I really want for people is that deep level of trust. Has to be earned. There's no way you can just extend it right in the beginning. And I get it, man. If you've been burned, that would be brutal. But it is so incredible. It's really incredible.
Have you guys seen those like, because I appreciate the nuance and disclaimer, all those things. Yes. But we do have to have the honest conversation that there are a certain sect of women. I'm not going to say all women. There are a certain set of men, I'm not going to say all men, that do use boys' night, girls' night as hall passes for their relationships.
That's crazy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. There are people, the women bachelor parties that are male strip club, and like male strip clubs are supposedly like the dirtiest places in the world. Like,
yeah.
So there are these like people that have that need to kind of gain validation in other ways. Is that a conversation you have with a partner, like partner by partner basis, or is that, to your point, Tom, just like an evolution thing that everybody goes through and you just have to make sure that the rules are set in your relationship to save them? Like, is there any scenario that your wife can pose to you that you'll be like, okay, absolutely not, that crosses my line? Like, you can do a girls' night, but you can't do this type of thing? Or
I think the obvious answer is yes. So like at a strip club, look but don't touch seems like a very reasonable thing. If my wife was like, we want to get a lap dance, would I care? probably wouldn't care that much about that. I trust my wife not to, but if she was like, is it cool if I toss him off? I'd be like, no, very much not. So yeah, that look, but don't touch just feels very easy. But if you have the rules laid out clearly ahead of time, sure. On that one, my wife is maybe a little bit different. She's never expressed any like burning desire to go to strip clubs. She finds them funny. She's obviously been when she was younger. She was like, look, you're there to have a giggle and have fun, but she's like, I'm not drooling over these guys. So yeah, I don't know.
You saying yeah? You were.
I would personally, I'm not married or anything, but I have always thought like, if I get married and my fiance wants to have a bachelor party, and he suggests like all the boys and I are going to go to a strip club, I would just feel so sad inside.
Really?
Yeah.
Because from the female perspective, this is like, they are not into you. This is just about money.
Like,
what's the sadness?
No. The sadness would be like, he's going to the strip club because he feels like it's his last single moment.
Like his last hurrah type
his last hurrah type of thing. Because that's always what it's like paraded as. It's like, all right, last single moment. But I'm just like, brother, if we're obviously engaged, that means you haven't been single for a long time.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But that's why I'd be so sad if it was like one of those things, because I'd be like, oh, this is not going to go well when you come back, because then I'm going to be like, oh, well, what happened? Why did you want to go there? What made you want to go there? We're about to get married, you know, kind of one of those things. So
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, heard, agreed. For me, proposing was hard. I really thought about that. But once I proposed, I was like, that's it. Like, we're done. And also, by the way, and this is where I'm going to be like, I'm old fashioned because this is the early 2000s. Once Lisa and I went on our first date, I never dated anybody else again, ever. I never did like I'm dating multiple people because we're not like official. Never did any of that. It was literally, we're together now and end of story. So different times, man. Very different.
Very different. Interesting. Okay. I thought the chat would be a bit
Ivy
more...
Wood, what's that in response to?
Who are you looking at?
Ivy Wood said, and you're filthy rich, Tom. I don't know what that's in response to.
Maybe because the strip club
would
cost
cheat.
a bunch of money? I don't know.
The streets are trash. Quantum. I don't know what that means either.
Ricky Martinez drew bachelor party strip club or no?
Oh man, I'm gonna get in trouble because my brother's getting married in a month. So don't hide this tape. I had one of my buddies got married years and years and years ago. And we all went to Atlanta, and then we went to a strip club. And I remember hearing one of my comrades, not the one that was getting married, he was like, the bachelor party is not for the married person. It's not for the person that's getting married. It's for everybody else. And that reminded me of what this woman is saying, that like a lot of times it's not, this is my last hurrah. It's other people get to celebrate, and through your hurrah, they get to live vicariously and have a quote unquote night out where they can just turn up, do whatever they want, stuff like that. Now, does that mean hall passes across the board and everybody was fucking? No, I'm not saying that. But you can tell when certain people are pent up in their relationship, and when they go out, they go hard, and I can tell that there's some pain under there. And then I have one of my frat brothers. I remember I love him to death. Like, he was so locked in, and I was just like, I commend you how locked in you are right now. Like, it was like titties everywhere, and he was just chilling. Like, he didn't go crazy. He didn't do anything. And I was like, I appreciate that. So I'm not saying, oh man, I do see that there are differences and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But a lot of times for those parties and stuff, it's not even about the main person. It's for I'm going to bring everybody out and we have a reason to go celebrate. And some people just celebrate a little bit harder than other people. And I would come from the Kill, that's not for me to judge or tell everybody, everybody needs to celebrate like me. Everybody needs to be home by 10 o'clock. You need to I wouldn't impose those morals, but I know I wouldn't do those extra things.
So no strip club party for you?
I would still go to a strip club, but it wouldn't be about me.
Oh, interesting.
It would be for those around me.
You heard it here first, folks. 53
Why don't you do it now? Why does it have to be tied to getting married?
Strip clubs aren't entertaining. I went to the strip club before. I've done those things. It's just, it's mentally, it's not fun. I had a buddy though that was really funny.
But you just said it's not for you, it's for the boys.
It's for the boys.
But I'm saying
but for the boys on a random Wednesday, you're a creep. But
So
for the
it
boys
has
because he's
to
getting
be-
married,
That's
the wife is like, oh, it's okay. He's getting married. I understand. It's something that's an easy.
it gives
The
you a
wife
good
is
cover story.
It gives you a great cover story.
Okay.
That's what it is.
All right.
Because even the person who we went to the strip club for, like, he was chilling. He wasn't doing anything, but everybody else was excited to have a night to go out and a reason to leave the state and all these other things.
Do you think that's what he actually wanted though?
Yeah, because we were all like, he had friends from college. Like, I'm one of his hometown
So
friends.
the median gathering spot was the strip club.
Yeah,
That's
he was
why.
excited. Everybody was there. We had dinner before. It wasn't like we
Okay.
just went right to the strip club.
Skywing is asking a question that I have a feeling is more universal. Why put yourself in a compromising situation, both sexes? And I would say it's only a compromising situation if the person doesn't have control. You
Bingo.
could literally put me in a pit full of jello with 100 naked women, and I have to somehow claw my way out. And I assure you, at no time will I be tempted to trade my entire marriage for that. So look, some of this is wiring. I am convinced I'm a hyper responder to oxytocin and vasopressin, which are the bonding hormones. And so I feel very fortunate in that I bond with my wife. But did I just reveal this? No, that literally is not my subconscious fantasy. The idea of having to please 100 women is horrifying to me. Oh, God. No, thank you. Plus, yeah, the whole Jello thing, I don't get it. But that is the stereotype, which is why that jumped to mind.
Shout out to Skywin2525. I organized my brother's bachelor party. It was a canoe trip and scotch tasting. I strive to be as wholesome as you.
My brother-in-law's bachelor party was literally video games and arcade games.
I like him already.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
like all night. I remember that one.
Dustin says, Tom, do you think any healthy person works at a strip club as a stripper? Dustin, probably not. I won't say it's impossible, but I will say that that's tough. That's tough. That's tough.
When you say healthy, we're talking about like they haven't been traumatized, or we're
Yeah.
talking about like
That's how I
Kanye
read it.
situation, like that type of thing.
Ooh.
Sorry, guys. For those people
Ooh.
that didn't know, Kanye allegedly had a
Oh.
relationship with his cousin
Yeah.
for a number of years.
Incestuous.
Incestuous.
Yeah.
Incestuous.
He told on himself. Nobody could horse that information. He just, let me bring up the tweet. I think I had it up.
That one
Did it say
hurt.
the age or how young? Or
No,
how old?
he just
Um,
said until he was 14.
till I was
but It was
14.
years.
Yeah.
Until I was
This song's
14.
a cousin about my cousin that's locked in jail for life for killing a pregnant lady.
Like, bro, at that point, you named him.
Yeah, like but I get
Unless
it.
you have multiple cousins in for that, like, God damn.
Perhaps in my self-centered mess, I felt it was my fault that I showed him those dirty magazines when I was 6, and then we acted out what we saw. My dad had Playboy magazines, but the magazines I found in the top of my mom's closet were different. My name is Ye, and I sucked my cousin's ding
Yeah.
till I was 14 years old. And I'm thinking at 6 to 14, that's a long time.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I bring that back
This
to
one
like,
just makes me sad, man.
yeah. Because even Lily Phillips did an interview and said her first exposure to porn was at like 11. And then she was like, yeah, no, it was fine. Like, but she also had sex with 1,000. So there is something to having this at a young age can lead to much larger traumas and things like that. But I don't know if every OnlyFans or every stripper is 100% a victim of trauma. I do think there are opportunists. At least I hope. I hope it's just not that many traumatic stories. I don't know.
Yeah, OnlyFans maybe hits a different threshold for me because the people are not there in person.
Mm-hmm.
Not something I've spent a lot of time thinking about, but that one just feels, being in a strip club day in and day out does not feel like it would be good for the soul. So even if you come in okay, do you exit okay? You're really looking at, and I have been to strip clubs. I've been to strip clubs with my wife. So you can do it in a very sort of fun and playful way, but I have a feeling that there is some darkness to be had in that world. Maybe I'm being unfair, but that strikes me as true. The Bitcoin Ben Show coming in.
Wait a
Red
second.
hot.
Wait a second.
Red hot.
Wait
He's here to
a
set
wait a
records.
second.
Let's go. We're going to need some claps over there, Drew.
Wait a second. Wait a second. Bitcoin, the Bitcoin Ben Show.
Put some respect on it,
Came and
Drew.
studied on us. We were talking about strippers. He just came and made it rain.
Damn.
Wait a second.
Came and made it.
Ah, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up, huh? Let's check it out.
Bitcoin Ben Show said, Tom, if you ever need a deep
look at
dive
that.
into
It's
the
running.
fundamental of Bitcoin and Trump's Bitcoin adoption plan, hit me up. Love the show. By the way,
Thank you, man.
Bitcoin up over 90K again
Thank you,
and
brother.
rising.
I didn't even
So generous. So generous. Yep, it is 90.797 right now.
Up 4%
Okay,
today.
let's go.
And that's
It's
crazy because the
running.
markets were down 2-3%.
It's
so
running.
they're putting in Bitcoin.
Yeah, so I mean, the hypothesis that as gold runs, Bitcoin will run, but a little bit later, could be true. We'll see. We've been higher than this, been a lot higher than this, but it is certainly moving in a positive direction.
We had that
we'll see
conversation
how
with
we
Michael
do.
Saylor where he was 100% sure, like, yeah, Bitcoin's going to be $1 million at one point in time. I think Arthur Hayes,
yep.
he nailed it at, I think it was at 300,000 end of the year or something like that. So are you that bullish with Bitcoin that you see like the same way we went from like the 30 window to the 70 to the 110? Do you see us doing another leap this year with Bitcoin?
I certainly don't want to put a timeline on it, but I'm a thesis investor. So I ask myself one simple question. Do I think tomorrow will be more digital than today? The answer is yes. Then it becomes a question of, will money also become digital? To me, the answer is a obvious yes. Then it's a question of which one of these coins has been tested the hardest. The answer is Bitcoin by far. And so it makes sense to me that it will sop up some of the asset market. How much the asset market, I don't know. And that is where Saylor's created a calculator. People can run their own like estimates. So I think it's going to be this much. And so if it sops up 4% of the total asset market, what does that equal? If it sops up 10% of the total asset market, what does that equal? And the numbers get pretty big, pretty fast. My instinct is that it will continue to go up for the foreseeable future when you zoom out far enough. Obviously, there are going to be down days. It could drop dramatically still. I don't get any anxiety when Bitcoin goes down because my thesis is still the same. So just keep holding through the ups and the downs. And yeah, I'm just not weird about that. But it doesn't seem as uncorrelated to the stock market as some people would want it to be. So is it matching the digital gold thesis? That's certainly why I hold it. But that isn't necessarily the grand thesis. The grand thesis may just be that this is another risk on asset because it's still so volatile. The reason I hold it is because I long for a future where Bitcoin is boring and it's just a place where I know I can park my money and it can't be inflated. That's what I want. But I'm obviously in a different financial position than a lot of people who still seek the volatility. And fair enough. Do you think?
And to your point, gold is up about 25% over the last 6 months.
Gold's been killing it.
Yeah, it's hit an all-time high. So it's definitely continuing the streak. I never invested in gold. I always was like, oh, it's not going to move. It's kind of been stuck. But in the last year, I have been realizing how wrong I was.
Well, also, the reason to own gold is not necessarily, in my opinion, because you expect it to go up. It's because it can't be inflated. So, I mean, it inflates at about 2% a year, but it doesn't have the potential for the 25% runaway inflation that you see when the money printer go burr, y'all. So it's a very different game. But that's not the one that, like, if you're trying to do risk on, that's not the one you do.
So that's store of wealth type play.
Correct.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So people like Peter Schiff obviously love it when the price of gold, and look, as somebody who owns gold, I love it when the price of gold goes up. And if people have been listening to my ads for buying gold, they'd be in a better position. But all too often numbers are going to go down. So just be careful out there, boys and girls. Be careful out there. And by the way, one more shout out to Ben. Thank you, man. Like you have been just ridiculously generous to this show. It is not lost on us. We are truly grateful. It's very kind.
Appreciate you, the Bitcoin Ben Show.
The.
Indeed.
Yep.
Indeed. Eunice, at
I was waiting
some
for the rest of
point,
that.
at some point, I don't know if Drew has something he wants to move over to, but at some point you're going to have to make your announcement.
No.
Yep. It's gotta. I don't want chat to be caught off guard because then it's going to seem dodgy.
Oh man, is now the time?
Are we at the end?
There's no time. No. We still have time. But there's no time like the present.
There's no time like the present. And I have to use the bathroom, so this worked out
There we
perfectly.
go. Let's go.
Close up on Eunice.
Also, Drew can't bear to hear it again. So
Cue
he's
the
gonna
sad
go to the
music.
restroom.
Yeah. I just
Right.
cry myself to sleep.
Is you just getting married? No,
That would be good news. We'd be
That-
cheering.
I am.
It's okay. You can say it.
I am leaving. Yes, I am.
Yep, Skirba She is indeed.
Yes. Violet, I will still do our pull-up challenge. I'll still be in the chat. June, Violet, me and you.
Elkie, I'm with you.
We're getting to three. Yes, I am leaving. I'm not sure what the schedule looks like for next week's lives. But I'm assuming we're gonna have some, just because it looks a little crazy on your end.
My schedule does?
Yeah.
I don't know my schedule next week, but yes, I would assume.
You got a couple days that look a little wild. So
Got it.
So-
So on those days, maybe not, but
Yeah.
we will certainly have some.
yeah, we'll have
For sure.
some. I'm so bad at goodbyes. But I've appreciated my time here so much.
Lisa, you are correct.
And this is so awkward. I feel.
See, this key code, this is exactly why. What did Tom do? You can tell us. Blink twice if you're okay, Eunice.
Tom didn't do anything. But I do want to say this has been so great to hang out with you guys and to spend time with you guys. And we still have the rest of this week and sometime next week. I'm not sure, but we still have some.
Not enough time.
We
not
still have
enough
some
time,
time
Jim.
next week,
Not
and I'll
enough.
pop in the chat and I'll say hello. And we still have time together. There's still time. I'm not gonna go brain dead.
What did Drew do? Dang, Elkie. Sheesh.
I know. It's icy out here. It's
Sheesh.
icy.
I tried to get her to stay. I was trying to bribe her. I said I'll read all the super chats. I said I'll play video games with you, whatever we can do.
That's so crazy because I added you on Overwatch and you never.
Oh,
Wait.
he gets outed right here.
I said,
Right
come
here.
on.
That was last year, by the way.
It was not last year.
Last October.
Okay, so Marvel Rivals came out.
That's
and
not
then
my fault. You said
Overwatch-
add me on Overwatch.
Then Overwatch
you didn't
died.
Say add me on Marvel Rivals.
I wanted to play Overwatch,
Crazy.
but you stopped playing Overwatch because you moved on to different games. And that's why you're leaving the show
didn't
right
move
now.
on to
So we're talking about you. Stop trying to flip it and put it on me. You're leaving.
It's all true, Chad.
Anyway,
all
anyway.
true.
I just wanted to thank you guys. You guys are all so kind in the chat. She's gonna try to be a streamer. LOL. No, I'm not. Ivy Wood.
I'm
Records.
very
That's so
sad
crazy.
that she tried that already and got icked out of it, which I find heartbreaking.
Yeah.
You're such a
Heartbreaking.
streamer.
It's just a little, yeah, but no. Thank you guys though. Truly from the bottom of my heart. It's been so fun. Thank you guys for always being so nice to me. Some of you. But
Yeah.
I really do like all of you guys. You guys have all been so kind and wonderful and just so great. So great. Such a great chat. Especially if I'm wrong about something. You guys are so kind and letting me know I'm wrong and then being like, here's why you're wrong, Eunice. So gently. Which I
That's how the
appreciate
internet
it,
works,
which I
Eunice.
really appreciate it.
Truly, Eunice, hopefully we'll know when the last day is that we're going to stream, and so I can
Yeah.
really hit you with the big one then. But I will say you are amazing, and as I
you.
told you privately, whatever you decide to put your mind to, you will smash.
Thank you.
So I'm super excited for your future. You leave as just a tremendous friend of this company, and I appreciate the grace you've shown. I've obviously known for a while, but I'm very grateful for the amount of time that you've given us. Very respectful. So thank you. You have honored us, yourself. You're amazing. You're bright. You are hardworking. So you will truly be missed.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
All right, I got one more relationship thing.
Let's go.
Then we're
Let's
going
do
to
it.
answer Tracy's crypto question because
All right,
that's way
Tracy.
more interesting. So I was at lunch yesterday with some of my fellow pals, and they were talking about how when you want to get into a relationship, you should write down like a list of what you want and what you don't want. And that's the way to like attract it.
Yes.
When you were first meeting Lisa, did you have like a list of like, this is what I want my wife to be, these are my deal breakers, like?
Freakishly so, yes. So the bad news is now that I've seen the world reduce everything to a checklist, I'm actually worried about that. I think that we've gone too far in the checklist direction. And if anything, people need to be nudged back in the other direction. But yes, when I was 18 or 19, I was asked, I was talking about one of the things earlier, describe your future wife. And I literally described Lisa to a T. It's kind of scary. So the things that I said were, she's going to speak a foreign language. She will have an accent, but she will understand English perfectly because she has to understand my sense of humor. And I can tell that my sense of humor gets lost on some people if they don't speak English as a first language. And I'm like, that would drive me crazy. So she's either going to draw or sing. She'll be a brunette. She'll be short. I think those are the only things that I remember stating. Those ones I remember clearly. There might've been more. And so when I say that Lisa is, and the crazy thing is I never would have predicted the way in which she would have an accent and speak English perfectly, because I assumed she would have an accent because she was foreign, like a non-native English speaker. But she grew up in England, so she has a British accent, but she speaks Greek fluently. So I was like, oh, I did not see that coming. So she gets all of my humor, but is also fluent in a second language. She can draw like literal world. Is she in the, I hope she's still in the feed. There she is. Yinagamu. She can draw literal world-class talent. And every time I walk by one of her drawings, I'm just gobsmacked. To this day, dude, I've watched her draw so many times. And still, as she does it, I'm just like, how? Like there is a part of her brain that is so good at, she can look at something and then replicate. Oh my God, it's unbelievable. So yeah, I was shocked because I said that when I was, let's say 19, and I didn't meet her until I was 24. So 5 years later, that whatever mental image I had built up since I was a little kid, held.
Yeah.
And has worked, by the way. We've been married for almost 23 years.
Yeah, I'm
married.
There was like the consensus at the table is like once you have that list written down, you then meet your person, but you can't meet them until you have that list. And
but here's the thing, so admittedly, all those things were the things that got me in the door, and the accent thing and the language thing played a long-term impact because I really got into for a while, like learning Greek and all that stuff, just really was another thing that cemented our bond. But if I'm honest, the values are the thing that matter the most. And if you share values, now you've got a much bigger chance. And so I think it is, one, Lisa and I are a mutual admiration society. Like I'm blown away by her. And for however much credit she gets by being an online personality, she, much as I don't feel like I am, she's not able to capture the full breadth of her personality on camera. Off camera, holy Jesus. Like that woman is fucking incredible. The trust, okay, if you've seen Jerry Maguire, there's a moment where unfortunately she's sort of a villainous character, but she gives Jerry Maguire a really great pep talk. And that's been my wife. Because for anybody that thinks that my wife is a gold digger, which is the funniest thing in the universe, I made my wife poor for a very long time. And she was ride or die through all of that, pushing me to be a better person. And those were the things that, like, when she could believe in me in moments where I was unsure, that was profound. And so I learned to not blindly trust what my wife says, but I really trust my wife. So when we'd been married for at least 10 years by the time that this happened, but when I first stepped in front of the camera, in fact, probably closer to 15 years. When I first stepped in front of a camera, I was like, meh, I don't think I'm going to be very good at this. I don't find it that interesting. I'm going to stop. And she was like, nope, you're going to do this for a year because you laid out a very strong thesis about why you're doing this. Unless you tell me that something broke in that thesis, you're going to do it for a year. And I was like, I know my wife. She has clarity with things like this because I'm obviously in my own head about it. So I did it for a year and obviously ends up becoming an entire company and has generated millions of dollars. So it was like, okay. And she'll have insights like that on and on and on. And I'm talking about when I'm 24 and nobody thinks I'm going to be successful but her. And it's interesting to tell my own story because I'll say, nobody thought that I would be successful. And my wife is always like, motherfucker. She was like, I have always known that you were going to do something, and nobody has put their lot more with you than me. And she was like, but whenever you tell the story, it's always that nobody believed in you. And I'm like, that's actually fair, because as I have oft repeated to my wife, I don't want to know who I would have become if I didn't meet her. And that one is like when I just step back and go from the trust that I have in her, from knowing that if I fall, that she'll pick me up. Have you seen oh God, I'm going to get emotional. Ooh.
Let's go. Emotions.
What a highly emotional day. Let's go. Do it.
Let's do it. I see it. Let it happen. Man. You're around family.
On the internet, Drew. Oh, fuck.
Oh, man. This is a beautiful moment. Oh, chat loves it. Thank you, chat. Thank you for showing support and showing up the hugs in the chat. This is a tough moment. It's a human emotion.
It's a human moment, yeah.
Human moment.
I don't think I can talk about
it. Man, some things are better left unsaid.
Fuck. Okay, take two.
Hearts in the chat. Hearts in the chat all around. Everybody got your back.
Have you seen Michael J. Fox with his wife?
There she is.
Hey, baby. You're going to make this worse.
I was thinking in my head. I was like, maybe we need this Elisa situation. Aww.
You can stay. Ella. Ooh, we're going to shake that off. So
hi everyone.
There's footage of Michael J. Fox with his wife, and on the red carpet, he's shaken to shit, obviously because of Parkinson's. She's still with him. God knows how many years later. In sickness and in health, man. And that, you want to talk about what I want for everybody? That belief. I believe that if nothing but bad things fell upon me, that I would still have my wife. And that's why there's literally nothing that I would trade for my marriage. And here I tell people I don't cry. So there you have it. That's all I have to say about that. Ipso facto.
Can I add one thing then to that?
Of course.
So,
yeah, hop in.
Hey Drew.
Hey Lisa.
Good morning everyone. So when we stood at the altar and said in sickness and in health, I don't think we were even prepared for the realities of what that meant. And I don't think people are. It's very romantic, right? We romanticize love and all the joys and oh my God.
Butterflies.
Yeah. But it is really real when 10 years ago, my gut just fell apart. I couldn't stand up. I could barely breathe. He was ready to rush me to the hospital every time I would eat something. I mean, it was bad. Right. And in those moments, how do you respond? Now, sometimes I think initially it's kind of easy. I'll show up for you. Let me do things. A year in, 2 years in, it's a very different picture. And he showed up for me every step. The reason why, if any of you ever saw Health Theory, where Tom was interviewing health experts, that all started because he read a book about how to help or how to like manage a gut, like the gut bacteria. And he had more questions. And he's like, I have to show up for you. And so in order for me to get experts on, I'm going to use my show. I'm going to use a new name. I'm going to call it Health Theory. And I'm going to bring in experts to come and help you. And he was up at 4 a.m, reading books, trying to figure out my gut, giving me advice, maybe TMI, but obviously sex was just impossible. I was in so much pain and agony. That's what real love in sickness and health actually looks like. And he never once complained. In fact, I want to say it was at least 2 years, but I don't want to exaggerate, but it feels true. For 2 years, he didn't eat sugar because I couldn't. Now imagine, guys, it's his birthday. And I'm like, let's get you a cake because I couldn't eat anything. He's like, no, I don't want a cake on my birthday. I want to be able to eat what you can eat and we're in it together. That's what freaking true in sickness and health looks like.
I love that. This was a beautiful moment.
Let's see, baby.
I'm all sweaty.
I know. I'm started sweating as well. Jesus Christ. Well,
I was in the middle of working out and doing like curls, and then I came running. So
Exactly what he needed.
whoa.
oh, and that's my alarm to tell me to stop working out because I've got to shoot today. Sorry about that. Okay.
All right, baby. Love you
Thanks
too.
for creating the space, guys.
Well, that was unexpected.
That was.
And now I'm hot.
Sheesh, tough act to follow, man. I got nothing. It just blew up my agenda. That was beautiful.
And that's the end of the show, everybody.
Yeah, that's it. Good night. See you everybody tomorrow.
Thursday. Not
Thursday, yeah. What's today? Times just got broken, man. I'm flabbergasted. Okay, I'm coming back. I'm sorry.
All right. We got to shake it out.
I love love.
Let's go.
So I love seeing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'm into
I
it.
love
Eunice, you were right to love love.
I
It
love
is
love.
tasty.
Valentine's
This
Day is my second favorite holiday. Love it. Yep.
What's number one?
Well, Thanksgiving, because my sister and I cook for the family.
Let's go.
Thanksgiving is my number one
It's
too.
Also feels like it's related to love, the familial kind.
Oh yeah.
So like 1 and 2, familial love
Yeah.
followed by
Really
romantic
anything
love.
that I can gather the
respect
family
that.
around is my favorite. So
Yeah.
I respect that.
yeah.
That's awesome. All right, chat. This is your time. Anything that's popping off in your feeds today? What do you want to talk about? Pedro Garcia said, "Let's talk Besset." You're supposed to send me a link, bro.
Oh.
Is Besant
we
on
actually-
something new?
Elke's policies.
Oh yes, and Elke, we were supposed to go back. That was in Discord, right?
Yes, or I can send them to you in Slack.
Do you have it? Yeah, if you can Slack it to me. Elke had a presentation that she wanted to talk about. This was back when you said Bernie and AOC's policy only involved taxing the rich. Elke was like, well, actually, and she had a
Let's
list of
go.
stuff.
What do we got?
So yes, we're gonna pull it up right now as soon as Eunice likes it over. Guys, anything you guys seen on your feed, things you think that were interesting, send it all over to us.
I'm sending it over now. Oops, it has a bunch of numbers because I just copied and pasted it. My bad. But it is sent.
Storm, I'm very sad to hear that.
Okay, I'm going to let's do it this way.
King Tut in the house.
Hold on, wait. Did she sent something in Discord because this is gonna look terrible on TV.
Oh.
1 second.
Confidence. I wasn't into Andor. Do I need to give it another shot? Do we have any anime fans? We've got King Tut in the house. I'm on an anime kick right now, like hard. There's
What are you
so
watching?
much good shit. Oh my
Still
God.
Devil May Cry?
No, I finished that.
That's what I was
tore through that shit, which was fantastic. By the way, it's not even in like my Annie list tracker because it's Western. I was so pissed about that. Literally, that's why I started to make my own anime tracking app because I was so offended by that. But yeah, that was dope. But My Hero X, To Be Hero X is fantastic. But I won't derail us on anime. David,
Well,
what's up,
Fine
David?
now, I think. Well,
Akira is dope.
we're looking for
Hatter.
them.
You are
Okay, yeah, I don't have the actual visual representation, so I'm going to have to say it out loud.
Let's go.
Okay. Hi, Elke here from the live chat. Tom asked me for 35 words or less regarding funding AOC
right.
and Bernie's policies other than taxing the billionaires. So here it goes. This is her list of different ways we can fund.
Is this their policies or hers?
This was her interpretation of the way we can follow implement their policies without just a simple take the money from the billionaires.
Okay, but is she saying that this is like her improvement upon them? I want to know if she's now making me a fan of them, or if I'm a fan of her, or I may hate this, but do you know which? Is it clear?
She her ending point was these are the primary ones, ways that it's theirs. Okay,
got it. Cool. Here we go.
Number 1, financial transaction tax. Number 2,
on every purchase.
Let me get through the list first.
Okay. Yep.
I don't have that.
Okay. Fair.
Financial transaction tax. Number 2 is a carbon taxes. 3, corporate tax reform, close the loopholes. 4, military budget reallocation. 5, legalized cannabis tax. 6, IRS enforcement, hundreds of billions of unpaid taxes. And 7, public revenue streams, i.e. modernization of utilities. These are the primary ones. I really hope Tom educates him on progressive policies, because currently he's just repeating propaganda and killing farmers every now and then.
Killing farmers? When am I killing?
About how it's communism, killing farmers. So your
That's funny. Got it. Yep.
Okay, but that is a list. Financial transaction tax, carbon taxes, corporate tax reform, military budget allocation, legalized cannabis tax, IRS enforcement, public revenue streams.
Man, well, first of all, she should help them with their platform, because that is a far more lucid explanation than what I hear them banging the drum about. I pay reasonably close attention to this stuff, and I hear that all the time. So the tax rich part. I don't hear all the time the things that she's talking about, which actually I would obviously need details, but those sound far less horrifying. So IRS might be the only one that I'm a little more sus about, not because I'm worried about me, which is of course what everybody's going to think, but because I remember what it was like to be lower middle class, and that shit's brutal, man. I've paid my taxes. I didn't do anything to dodge taxes. When we sold Quest, I paid a boatload of taxes in California, Los Angeles. It's bad as it gets. Cool, no problem. So yeah, that's not me worrying about me, but that's interesting. I love it. Cool. This is way better than what they bang the drum about. So I'd love to see them. Robotech is dope, Rick. I would love to see them bang the drum about that. That would be way better.
Robotech is an anime, because that's what I was about to go.
Robotech is an anime, but it's an absolutely fascinating thing. It was like them putting together 2 different shows for an American audience, which is why it's so strange. But I loved it as a kid, but I didn't understand the difference. Like, I didn't know why I was so drawn to Robotech. And I'm very sad that it took me until my 40s to go, oh, wait a second. These are the things that unite Ninja Scrolls, Akira, and I don't know if I'd seen Ghost in the Shell yet, and Robotech. And that's when I fell in love. Now, I admittedly sat down to consciously learn the art form of Japanese storytelling. But anyway, I could derail. I have often considered doing a podcast solely about video games and anime. So when I say that I could derail this whole podcast, I literally mean the whole podcast.
Can I be a special guest?
Here, of course you could.
So you're going to leave our show and then go into the fictitious anime.
See,
this is why I have trust issues, chat.
This is what I'm saying. So she told me, why she's leaving. Now I keep giving her an opportunity to tell the world, and she keeps not taking it.
Okay.
But she gave me a very detailed reason that I don't know if it was meant to spare my heart, but it was like, I was like, cool, I get it. I can't compete with that. So totally fair. It wasn't about money, so she would have me believe. So, but is it? Because as soon as I switch over to anime, all of a sudden she's like, I'm here for it. Did I say that I had a new job? No.
I said
I'm here for
guest.
this.
I didn't say recurring cast member.
That's true.
All right.
In fairness.
And no, I'm not taking the out.
This is why I have trust issues, chat.
Yeah, that's fair.
Why do you have trust issues?
This is why, for these reasons. Anyway, Pedro, thank you for sending the link. In Scott Bessent news, I think it's an account that follows, it's a Scott Bessent fan page. Okay, so take that for what it may be. But he tweeted, Ukrainian officials released the kickback numbers they gave U.S. politicians.
Oh, hold on. There's a lot in that statement. Bessent used those words?
No, it's a Scott Bessent fan page that retweeted a TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying.
They're removed here by the section.
Yeah, the points are fractaling, so take it with a grain of salt.
Yep.
Elkie, Tracy, maybe you guys could fact check me because you are the in-house humblers of the chat. But Ukrainian officials released the kickback numbers they gave to U.S. politicians. Joe Biden, 92 million. Mitch
Can
McConnell.
you put this on the screen?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was on the screen. Too many windows. Boom, there it is. All right. Joe Biden, 92 million. Mitch McConnell, 89 million. Nancy Pelosi, 86. Chuck Schumer, 66. Lindsey Graham, 82. Mitt Romney, 71.
This has got to, even in the worst case scenario, this has got to mean like to their district or something like that. There's no universe in which this much money was put in their pockets. And over what period of time are they talking about? This feels so fake. This feels like fake news in all capital letters. Like
Pedro, did you set me up on chat? Pedro, did you set me up on chat?
Wait, sorry, those are millions, not billions. Okay, that takes away my first sort of crazy argument that that's so much more than we've given them. But this feels fake.
Red light.
We have a couple of
Obviously
super
just
chats.
an emotional reaction, but
Michael Vandergallion
Super
said,
Michael.
Tom, you're secretly a Catholic. True leadership is about service in your work, and privately without your wonderful wife. Big up.
Cool. I'll take it. I think the Catholic Church will have beef with my retelling of all of the facts in the Bible, but I don't mind. If the Catholics love me, I got love for them right back. Let's go.
Connor Brown says, Tom talked about a death grip in a recent Tight 60.
I did.
I wonder if the ease of talking with AI will create emotional parallels to death grip, numbing our ability to feel loved by simulating heightened versions of it.
That is certainly a danger. There's no doubt about that. However, I believe that AI will be able to help people because someone, would I really be willing to do it? I'm going to often make a flippant statement that I want to acknowledge as a flippant statement because I probably won't. I really want to tell stories, Drew. Like, yeah, we don't need to go down that path. I really want to tell stories. And the flippant statement is the following. Somebody is going to make an open version that will read the data coming off of your Oura Ring and stuff like that and go, yeah, you're engaging with me too much or games too much or whatever too much, porn too much. And I can tell by your sleep data, I can tell by your heart rate variability, like you're not in a good place. And so let's put together a regimen. Now, at the end of the day, everybody has to live their own life. And I am a big believer that we all live and die by our choices. And I have been bitten in the ass by many of my own choices. And I'm perfectly willing to accept the slings and arrows of the limitations of my own mind and my own good judgment, et cetera, et cetera. So I believe that everybody has to take responsibility for their own life. Okay, so having said that, there will be solutions available, even if I have to create them, flippant, that allow people to improve their lives. AI is it's already so powerful that I'm like, even if it froze here, which I have no reason to believe that it will still make things like that possible. The only people who don't believe in this have never tried to vibe code. Like, even though you run into roadblocks, it's so easy to see how this is going to get better and better and better. Yeah. And I'm just like, God damn.
I didn't even try the service you were just talking about. Lovable, yeah. Somebody else in the chat was going up for it, so that might be the way I get it.
Listen, I hit a roadblock where I tried to fix something like 30 different ways, and it just kept death looping. Like, every time it would fix it, it would break it in a different way, and it would fix that and it would break back in the other way. But I was still like, hold on. Even if I was like, okay, and now I would have to bring in a human coder to like solve that problem, and then I could go back to vibe coding. Even that, dude, I had an app that actually allowed me to input manga, track it, look at the details. I could change the way it looked visually. I was aghast. I was clutching my pearls. I'm already like the AI guy, like, yo, this is the greatest shit ever. And yesterday I was like, oh my God, I can't believe how good this is insane. I gave it like a brief paragraph and a photo and was like, make that. And it was like, say less, fam, I got you. And then it was like actually pulling in images. And I was like, hey, how do I get it? Like, I don't want to have to tell it everything that exists. How do I get it to reach out into the world and pull this stuff in? And it was like, oh, let me look. Cool. Here, these services offer free APIs. This one's better. You should probably use that. And I was like, cool, but I don't want to have to do anything. Can you put it in? I was like, yeah, no worries. And it was like, here it is. Boom. And it started pulling the data. And I was like, holy Lord, this is crazy. It was reading the instructions because they published their API. It read the instructions to the API. First of all, it knew the API existed, recommended, because this one's free and has good instructions, reads it, puts it into my app. Dude, this was all like in an hour. It was the craziest shit. I was having like a religious moment yesterday.
Nice.
It was nuts. And I was like, yo, even if we never reach artificial general intelligence, even if we never reach super intelligence, obviously, this is so incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was in bigger context.
One more super chat from Alco Entertainment. They said, I would take ad enabled as long as I don't have to watch them. I used to play vampire tabletop game and became one with the earth/nature for centuries to see human become quasi-immortal superhuman, not unlike myself.
I want to know where we jumped tracks there really hard.
That was a super chat. Yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if this is the same. I had a friend who played, I think it was just called Vampire. And I didn't know what LARPing was.
Yeah.
And
Live
seeing
action
it
role play
in
through.
person is pretty fascinating. So he took me to a vampire meetup and he was in character. In fact, to this day, I remember the name of his character. I'm not gonna out him, but I thought it was so fascinating. I thought it was cool. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Not cool enough that I wanted to do it, but I was like, there's something dope about this. Like this is all pre-internet.
Oh yeah.
So it was like, these people have found each other somehow, some way. They're playing like D&D characters just to tell a story.
Yeah.
Like we were outside. They were just like milling around and doing like political maneuverings and stuff within the group. And I was like, what? Like I had never encountered that side of humanity before.
I would love to LARP.
Absolutely fascinating. In fact, there is the woman from True Blood, whose name I do not remember,
Anna
redhead,
something. No,
probably.
no, not the redhead.
She describes the point of D&D, and it was awesome. I was like, I need to start playing immediately. Like she broke down that it's basically for, she didn't say writers, but she's like, it's about good storytelling. Because who's the guy from The Walking Dead who plays, he's like the bad guy in the first season. He gets, spoiler alert, say it again. Yes, something like that. John Bernthal.
I've never seen it.
She was describing it to him. And by the end of it, you could see he was like, oh, you're not trying to win. You're just trying to tell a good story. Because she was like, one of my favorite characters ever was my friend. And he like had this character that thought he was good at something, but he really wasn't good. So he's like, hold on a second. Why would the guy intentionally create a character that is likely to lose? She was like, oh, it's all about good storytelling. And I was like, oh my God, like puzzle piece, click into place. I'm like, this is writers like trying to put themselves in a dynamic situation. And this is the whole thing that I like about AI. You want to create something that could surprise you. That's the like thing that I find fascinating about game design or about AI is like, I've given my AI a personality. We have all these shared memories and like, I'm doing all this RNG stuff, random number generator for people that don't know that acronym. And the whole goal is to get to the point where it will say or do something where you're like, oh, whoa, with the rules that I gave you, I did not expect that outcome. Anyway, that stuff is fascinating.
And RJ Super Chat says, Eunice, all the best and a great move forward. Make sure the Super Chat goes to you
RJ.
personally.
A great move forward. It's a terrible life choice, RJ. Terrible.
Eunice was trying to skip it because she doesn't like to be the center of attention. But thank you, RJ, for your generosity.
I already.
Oh, he wants this to go to you personally. I think it would be icky then not to make good on that.
Yeah. So you should actually read it again.
So
I already read it. I already replied to it.
But you didn't read it out loud personally.
RJ. RJ Johnson says, Eunice, all the best and a great super move forward. Make sure this super chat goes to you personally with the smiley face.
let's go. RJ, very kind, very generous.
I only got a week left. I'm going to manipulate as much as I can in this last week.
Take it while you can, Drew.
Take it while you can. All right, chat. Slow news day. I don't know if you guys got anything. We got to put an episode
You
together.
see what I sent you?
Oh,
In Slackadoodle?
I didn't get anything in Slack. In the Tom Bilyeu?
No, in me and you. Slackadoodle. Me and you message.
Oh, Lancaster Mayors?
Yeah.
Trent
They were bringing that
Richardson
up
says
earlier.
D&D is all about storytelling.
I just can't do 17 hours around a table. Like I
It's
feel
not
like
17 hours. You break it up into sessions. Or you do a one shot.
I might be one shot. That might be it for
Yeah.
me.
Some of that stuff is cool. I saw this guy just came by on my shorts feed who built like this table so that you could play the game and tell the story, but like the table is actually a screen. And so it like would play like storm clouds and stuff. And I was like, damn, that is some next level shit.
So
Very interesting.
if we did a D&D one shot on live, you'll be down.
No, I didn't say that. When did I say those words? I find it very interesting. I'm glad that some people
Would
do
you
it.
ever?
That's not how
would you
I
ever
get
just
down.
for funsies do like the character creator? Because there's like a sheet you just print out, or
What's the character creator
like
for
the-
D&D?
Yeah, and you can like
So like a website.
yeah, and you
Yeah,
can just make
that
a
kind of stuff
character
is
and fill
fun.
out your. This is what I want them to do.
I love that. I did the Harry Potter "What House Would You Be in" quiz.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
So if I send it to you, you would fill it out,
Sure.
and can I share it?
Sure.
Okay.
But would you actually do a campaign though?
No.
Even if we made it like an hour and a half?
Yeah. It's one of those like, are there a right situation where I felt like, oh, maybe this is good internet and I would do it? Maybe, but like it doesn't feel like that will build the audience that I'm trying to build. It's time away from me actually writing the stories that I care about.
Yep.
Like if we did a D&D and people were playing the Coyotes characters or something like that, maybe then. But
D&D
honestly,
set in the Kaizen universe?
yes, that's maybe like you could get me, but that's me really working overtime to try to make this work. The reality is that I really want to tell these stories. I don't want another proxy. I don't want another thing that runs parallel to it. Like I want to do the thing. I want to write the comic, do the anime. And I think AI is 6 to 18 months away from that being real. And so I am just right now, I feel like somebody who has pulled the bow back and is waiting for the animal to lift its head or whatever, and then it's kill shot time. And I'm just trying to make sure that I don't misjudge the timing. I don't want to be too early or too late. And so I keep running tests on the weekend to see like it's still too early, except for the storytelling. That part is progressing wonderfully. But turning it into visuals is still not there. So hopefully soon.
So would you not be a character? You could be the DM though, in charge of the story.
Yeah, but again, now I'm like doing all this work
Yeah.
and it doesn't become a permanent thing. Like there are people that they love that like whatever Tibetan sand art. And I'm like, that offends everything in my soul. I once asked a comic writer who I don't know if he'd want me to say, because his answer struck me as true, but also weird. And I said, why do you write? And he said, to have the book on the shelf. And I was like, yeah, I get that. Like you want to make that thing. Like I was wearing earlier until I was roasting, the jacket. This was a conscious need to feel my creative output. So that jacket is from a comic that I actually wrote. And the fact that it exists in the world gives me no shortage of feeling like, okay, I did a thing that I have wanted to do for a very long time. And I can very easily put myself on my deathbed and go, what is the thing that I have misplayed in my life? And quite honestly, I won't be like, oh, I didn't write a book. Won't care about that. I won't be like, oh man, I didn't make use of my marriage. I fucking like took that everywhere. I won't be, I didn't play to win. I've played to win. I've built things. But I will say I died with these stories inside of me, and that will bother me a lot. So I really want to manifest these things. And I worry that that will diminish in importance as AI comes on board. And I feel like I'm shouting into the wind. And so there's this thing where I'm like, when I say I'm trying to get the timing right, I mean, there's going to be a brief moment where it is an expression of my skill set and not the AI just being better than me at everything. And at that moment, I want to create something that people enjoy with me. God, I would love that a lot. So anyway, we'll see.
All right, last news story. Lancaster mayors revenue meeting for homelessness, free fentanyl and a purge. A Lancaster's mayor's solution for homelessness, give them free fentanyl and a federal purge. Opponents call for a
Strikes
recall
me as a
election.
bad idea.
You said strikes you as what?
A bad idea.
Yeah. The idea comes to the point. I just had it. I made it very clear. I'm talking about the criminal element that were let out of the prisons that now have a 40 to 45% of what's referred to as a homelessness population, he said. They are responsible for most of our robberies, most of our rapes, and at least half of our murders. Quite frankly, I wish the president would give us a purge because we do need to purge these people.
Yo, gotta watch the language, man.
Now, is it harsh? Of course it is harsh, but in my obligation as the mayor of the city of Lancaster to protect the hardworking families that live here, and I'm no longer able to do it. I'm in an untenable situation. I want these people out of our city. Man.
Going hard in the paint. Here's the thing, man. You can't let the streets be for anybody other than the public at large. Mm-hmm. And so, like, have you seen this? I think it's in Chicago. I could be being trolled. This seemed impossible to believe. So all together, let's look up and see if this is actually real. But as a thought exercise, even if it's fake, that people are putting tents on top of buses. Now, I really want to believe that this is a Babylon Bee thing and it's not real, but that is certainly not how it came across my feed. And
in Chicago,
even if it's not, I think so. Even if it's not on buses, it's on street corners. Like LA has gotten worse. I've lived here for 35 years. And I'm telling you right now, we are moving in the wrong direction. Please let that be fake. That seems fake, right? Like it doesn't seem possible.
That this man is saying that?
No.
It just seems fake. The tents would blow off. Surely the police would come and arrest them. I am being trolled. There's no way. That's not real. It can't be real.
They super glued it.
But nonetheless, they obviously weigh it down, but still it seems like the bus would hit speeds that would blow that off. But it looks AI generated. Ricardo, I hope so, man. Yeah. So like you, I assume it has to be fake, but the street corner stuff is real. I've seen it with my own eyes, and I just can't. No functioning society lets that happen. You need disincentives, first of all, and then if people are schizophrenic, whatever, leaving them on the streets is not the play. So
I don't know what the homelessness problem is. Like, at first, I was one of those people, throw them all in jail and they'll rehabilitate them there. And then I'm like, well, that's not really helpful. They just like increases recidivism and they just make a downward spiral. I was to re-educate them. And then there's people who come back and say, well, they're all neurally diverse and some people aren't able to function. And then it's like, do you put them in like a psychiatric ward? That feels weird, locking people up who can't have the mental capacity. So the homelessness problem, I feel like, is just one of those ones. Like,
Drew, you have to be willing to leave some people behind.
Yeah. I feel like that's
you have to put them, it's going to be something like an encampment, a barracks. Yeah. I don't see a way around that. You can't just let them go wherever the hell they want to go. That's crazy town. They destroy businesses. It is unsafe. It's nasty. It's just icky. So, you need a society that wants their cities to be beautiful and to be safe, and help people by all means. Try to make sure that people have opportunities to get their lives together and get back on something positive. Yeah. But the bad news is the vast majority of homeless, my intuition, I have not looked at the stats, but my intuition is the vast majority of homeless are going to be one of two things or both. They're going to have mental illness or they are going to have a drug problem. Yeah. And cool. People should be allowed to choose that if they want to, but you're going to be sequestered. I don't see any way around that. We've run the other experiment and it just gets worse and worse and worse. LA has spent, or California has spent some ungodly amount of money on the homeless. And guess what? It becomes a bigger problem. There are more and more homeless. Yeah. Follow the incentive structure.
Man. Yeah, I got nothing for that. I wish I had a better take, or I had more nuance to it, but
some people will clean their lives up, and I want to make sure that we give those opportunities to people. I love that the most, people that are actually trying to turn things around. But the reality is there's going to be some percentage of people, they are not interested. They're not interested or they're not capable. Yeah. Either way, leaving them roaming the streets is not the play.
Yeah.
If you were to solve it, if you had a gun to your head and they were like, solve this issue within the next 5 years, what's your plan?
You build a space that you offer to people that they can go in if they have nowhere else to go. So think a larger shelter. And there are places that you just absolutely cannot be. And so if you're in one of those places, legitimately, you're going to be forcibly removed. And if you are willing to put in the work and energy to get better, then, hey, we're going to have opportunities, whether it's within this complex, opportunities for people to learn if they want to learn, to take a shower, to be able to at least get like some Goodwill clothes so they can go on a job interview or whatever, get some computers so that they have access to the internet so they can interview, educate themselves, access to AI, all of that. But that's going to have rules. And if you're not able to make good on those rules, then you go back out on the street in the old school way where they will find themselves going to an area that people don't care about. And so I don't know if there still is, but LA used to have a place called Skid Row. I literally have gone down there to the homeless shelter to speak to the kids to be like, hey, there's a way out. I took a former gang member, drug dealer who was like, no one's going to believe me. You just see a white guy who's got money. But this guy, he came up fucking hard. And so getting a chance to do that and seeing like Skid Row up fucking close, it was like, honestly, that was better than letting them just be wherever, whenever they want to be. And I am not immune to the human misery. This is somebody who would have responded positively to all the rhetoric about what we're trying to do by not judging them, stop calling them homeless, like give them opportunities, give them clean needles. Like I get it. I get the impulse, but look at the results. Results are fucking terrible. So, and then there's a line that if you cross, you go to jail. Now, what exactly that line is, the current laws already. So if right now, given that drugs are illegal, if you're doing illegal drugs out in the open, you go to jail. So no free pass because you're homeless. No free pass because you're mentally ill. No free pass because you're on drugs.
No free pass.
Doesn't work. Now, listen. That was me because I don't like when people won't say, this is where I'm at currently. I hope that somebody far more thoughtful than I am are actually going to design a policy that works, because I do not think that my off the cuff thinking is the right answer.
I do think that there is a unsaid thing about homelessness is that as capitalism continues, there is even if you call it exhaust, that's a terrible way to describe people, but with every engine, there's a certain amount of discharge.
God, I wanted to see what word you would choose there.
I was mentally.
I was like, does it start with a W, Drew?
So there is that, and I just feel like until people work for free, like free housing sounds good. Until that gets manipulated, there's shelters, there's free food programs. There are a lot of these things, but it's not enough. And until we start having, I want to say government instituted, but I haven't seen it actually cure the problem. So I don't know if that's it, but there needs some, I don't know. Jesus said the homeless will always be with you. So that's what's my pass of not worrying about it.
What did he say about drug addicts and schizophrenics?
That I should love them like I love myself.
Facts. Now, given that you love them like you love yourself, what is the right play? If Lynn were smashing her head into the wall, would you just be like, word, she's got her autonomy, let her go?
No, because I think I would have, I would dictate that responsibility and come up with the housing, mental facility, rehabilitation, the A, B, C, D, and D of it all.
Do they have to earn the housing?
Lynn, no. A random homeless person that I don't know, I want to say yes, but we'll run out of money that way, and it's not a sustainable system. So
there's probably a way to do it right. You're not going to do lavish houses. It is going to be something more like a barracks, probably.
There's empty apartment complexes in downtown LA right now.
Here's what I want to see. Something along the lines of like KIPP schools, where there's just expectations. You're going to meet these expectations, or you're going to GTFO. And when you leave, you're not going to be met with the warm embrace of whatever street corner you want to be on doing your drugs. I mean, listen, it worked. Homelessness was never like good. There's always, as Jesus said, apparently, there's always going to be homeless. But boy, oh boy, was it better than it is now.
Colonel Robinson, we as Americans never defined a minimum living standard. We should start there first. Is there a minimum that citizens are guaranteed? Do you think there's something?
You're not going to be attacked.
That's what you're guaranteed in, right? You'll
Yes.
have freedom of movement, everything else.
People will, no matter what your socioeconomic status, people are going to treat you with the full compliance of the law. We certainly owe people that. There's no doubt about that. You can't enforce compassion, but do I think people would be better served in their souls if they had compassion? Yes. But you don't owe people a house. Again, this comes down to, if we've got AI and all of this stuff is free, then I love it. But if we don't, and now this is about taking somebody else's labor, I've got beef.
Somebody said, look at Finland. Finland has 5.5 million people. That's not even bigger than the LA metropolitan area. So
it's not even half the size.
Yeah, I love look at what the Europeans did, but I think it's easy to solve homelessness in Arkansas versus what it's like to solve it in the United States.
Well, also, like, this is where you get into homogenized societies. Do we want a homogenized society like Finland? It's a lot easier to take care of people when everybody shares the same exact value set. Also, where do we fall on innovation? I believe that innovation does far more good than making sure that nobody gets left behind. I'm having a crisis right now as I look at China and the US and what is really going to be our opportunity of pulling out of this tractor beam of destruction that I feel like we're in. And the reality is America has lost its groove, man. Like, when I hear people be like, on the Statue of Liberty, it's like, give me your poor, you're tired, you're weak, you're huddled masses. That was at a time where there were no entitlements. So if somebody came across the ocean to come here, they were coming here for opportunity. Let's go. Love opportunity. Hell yeah. But how many people turned around and left again? Because they were like, damn, like, New York is rough. Like, this is why they say, if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. Because that shit is dog eat dog, man. And so we are a nation. We were founded as a nation of the most hardcore motherfuckers on planet Earth. And we said, I'm tired of being under somebody's thumb. I want to go there, risk this incredibly dangerous journey to go to the land of opportunity, not the land of guaranteed outcomes. And when we were that, we were described to the rest of the world as a place where the cities were paved with gold, because the opportunity was so tremendous that you could, like Alexander Hamilton, go from being this bastard child that was destitute to, oh, I see, this is my opportunity. I'm going to rise up the ranks. And through merit, rises up the ranks. But how many people didn't have the merit and they fell by the wayside? But that's the trade-off.
Yeah.
Remember, some people in China work in a factory where I think we need to fact check this. Does Foxconn actually have nets to catch people? I'm going to type it because chat, nobody else is doing it.
I'm awaiting the answer, and then we got to go.
All right, we're going to find out. But yes, that in China, not everybody is in the middle class. And so even when, yes, Foxconn installed suicide prevention nets at its factories in China following a series of worker suicides in 2010. So listen, even in the top-down authoritarian rule, not everybody gets to be the winner. So it just is what it is. And I would rather be here where that is not determined by an overlord. It is determined by, I get a shot. I get a try. Can I get a job? Can I get in? Can I work my way to the top? I would much rather be in that society.
Yeah.
Tom would have the ads, all right?
What happened?
Tom would have the ads.
Tom would have the ads. This is all very true.
Tom would have the ads.
Thank you, Skurba Durba.
All right. We got to go. That's it.
All right, we got an app. Everybody, thank you. Today ended up being very interesting. And
Somebody said I took all the pills in this episode. Like
the black, the
Yeah,
white,
right.
the red, the blue. Yeah, this that's a good way to sum it up. Today was a journey. I am still, my temperature is still high from all of that. Very weird. Thank you one and all for being here. You guys are wonderful, and building a community is one of the great joys, and I do not take your attention for granted. So until next time, my friends, be legendary. Take care. Peace.